Yo, what's up, everybody? All right, technical issues out the wazoo, but we're getting that sorted out. Welcome back to ASCENT. Of course, we've had the first map already. What the flop? Having a strong performance there, winning out the 2-0 on the map. So now we're moving into Hollywood shortly, where we'll get to see them again, up against Supernova, of course. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one will play out.
Yeah, it'll be a really insightful to see both these teams off of Control, because Control is such a unique map type. There isn't anything quite like it. While the skills from Escort, Hybrid, and Assault kind of transfer, King of the Hill is just completely on its own. So it'll be really cool to see these two teams, especially my theory about maybe What the Flop being a defensive team and them being better at that. I want to see if that does come to fruition, or if I am an absolute moron. So that should be exciting to see. Also, a few things in the break, we did confirm that Party is Party. So we will have to keep that one in mind. Party is in fact Party.
Yeah. That was a Party being a sub. Obviously, Mutnick still not quite up to scratch as we thought he would be. So in the end, Party will be Party. So hello, Party. We apologize for calling you Mutnick earlier on.
What if it's a double bluff and it actually is Mutnick and we're really dumb?
Then Mutnick's new name is Party, and we're going to change it on AOE channel.
Yeah, somebody got to change their Twitch handle or something. Or Twitter handle, excuse me. It'll have to happen at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, Hollywood is a great map. I'm really looking forward to it. So remind me, I think the losing team of the round before gets to pick the map from our selection.
Yeah.
And the other team picks if they want to start, the winning team picks if they want to start on attack or defense.
Yes, that's how the cookie crumbles normally. So that should be the way it goes here. Also on Hollywood, which should be a bit different from what we've seen so far, is maybe we'll see some teams venture off the Reinhardt, particularly on point B of Hollywood. There's just too much high ground that you kind of need to be on a Winston or a Wrecking Ball, anything of the sorts. The Reinhardt just doesn't have that verticality to really challenge all the high grounds. And especially if you have someone like Lazy Q or Reshade up there on the Cowboy or the Ash or anything along those lines, they will have to be challenged, or they will put the team on their back.
Yeah, again, and what do you feel about Lucio on this map? Is it good? Is it bad?
I think with the Reinhardt, you'll be able to get some value, but once you swap over and both teams are, I assume, playing Winston or Bunker comps, the Lucio will lose a little bit of value, and you'd rather a Baptiste Brig kind of lineup, maybe an Ana if you want to nano the monkey. But I think the Lucio will be a lot less prevalent now that we are off Control. And I was talking about the Winston. The other option is, of course, the dive, and that the bunker, excuse me. And it looks like that is what we are seeing out of excuse me, What the Flop at the moment. They are on the double shield, the Torbjorn Ash, so super bunkery. The Ash will be on a different high ground to everybody else, I assume, or is trying to find some alternate angle. The Torbjorn turret is in a really good spot where you'll only be able to take it down if you are on the objective itself and taking damage from it. So the low HP DPS of Supernova might have a little bit of a problem with this turret and having it constantly peppering them down.
Yeah, Reshade's going to have to poke away really carefully. Bunny goes high for a bit of damage, but gets heavily damaged from that. Look at the strong high ground hold here for What the Flop. They keep it in control. They even manage to find a kill out of it from the Ash. And in the end, that's going to just hold them off for long enough to get them to reset.
Yeah, because that entire fight was just the Tracer trying to take down that Torb turret. And now they are finally in the backline, ready to have some sort of position to get a flying contested from beyond. And we do have another pause. It's unfortunate, but we move. So now we just have time to speculate how this engage will kind of unfold. Despite what I thought, the Ash is actually on the same high ground as everybody else. And I think in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense, purely because if they're playing with everybody else, they'll have so much more peel if someone like Chapadoodle or Null or even Reshade is able to get onto them. So it is actually a good idea that they are playing with everybody else. So that does make a lot of sense. Also, a very small detail, I don't know if Stream picked it up, but it was Turbo on the Brig constantly looking towards the bottom of the restaurant on point A, where looking for the Tracer of Reshade, looking for them to find out where they were, seeing if they were going to come up the back stairs or anything of the sorts. So the Brig was definitely had their eye on the prize there and doing their job of watching out for that flanker to shut them down with that crowd control.
Yeah, and they did such a good job there. I mean, Chapadoodle did try to make that attempt up to the top. You just saw how quickly the damage came out. They just didn't feel safe to stay up there for more than even a second, which is the power of having the whole team up on that one position. But if they do manage to dive it with a couple at the same time, then it's going to be a pretty deadly dive, and they're going to have to be very careful of that. They do have 3 shields technically going on, so I'm sure that they can kind of work around it. But yeah, interesting to see how they're going to handle it. Let's see if they stay up there and can keep that strength and not be like kind of influenced to drop onto that point at all.
I think once they do drop onto the point, that is when Supernova will be in a much better position, because especially if you can get someone like Liam Fox up there, and with the Brig up with them as well, you'll see those support pairings sticking together pretty tightly. So I think once they're up there, they could be in a pretty good spot, but we'll just kind of have to see what happens. And it looks like we are rolling back in. Reshade thinking about that flank, but maybe changing their mind, waiting for their team to get into position. The other thing to talk about is should Chapadoodle maybe be on the wrecking ball in hopes of knocking people off the high ground? They do have the nano boost, so immediate value.
Very nice. Does exactly what they want to achieve. That nano really does give Monkey the stopping power to just keep going. Party with the good hit as well to keep that damage out. This really helps the DPS out. They don't have to worry about too much damage because there's just so much chaos there. And with this take, they will find this point, I think.
Yeah, that was such a good nano boost engage from Supernova. Exactly how the comp plays. They're playing it very similarly to a double bubble, but of course Null is on their signature diva. So that is, it still plays very similarly. The Winston can still engage, use that nano boost to get that extra damage to build up to that primal range. So this fight, they can go aggressive as well. And Liam Fox already halfway to that nano boost. This cycle could go on for a fair while, and it could be a real difficult one for What the Flop to deal with. In saying that, they do have a boatload of ultimates coming up, and the Tracer of Reshade is really going to struggle to get value here, as everybody's actually on the high ground, and they have to try and find a way up there without getting their head ripped off by Lazy Q.
Yeah, they're really good at controlling that high ground. Apollo does get knocked. And you see the focus attempt by Chappa. They're actually going to commit the ult to it as well. In the end, K9's just doing enough damage with that laser cannon to just tear through a couple. There goes Lazy. Unfortunately, Chapman making good use of that ult in the end to at least find the one out of, but the high ground still in control. Another nano boost engage onto this Monkey, and there it is, down onto Apollo. The turret is on that high ground, having to be rolled through, but in the meantime, Chapman's doing all the work at that front line on their own. That nano really is popping off. Great stick from Reshade to take a support out the fight as well. Diva Bomb is a last attempt to remove a couple more. Does actually sneak out a support too, so they keep this rolling on.
That was a massive fight from Null on the Diva. They started this off, everybody was on the little catwalk there trying to get value out of the amplification matrix of Crimson, and they just all got booped off by the Diva. And then Null gets 2 closing kills at the end of that, including one with their ultimate. It's such a huge fight for the Diva player.
They've used Bob here to hold cart. Gotta make sure someone's at least close. They really need a big ult here to make something happen, but all they've really got is the damage buff. Cloned Diva Bomb into the sky does only take out the immortality field, but it is enough for them to find the payload to the point so they can continue their momentum. A messy fight from both sides here, but still going in the favor of Super.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but they do eventually get it pretty cleanly. And I think a real flaw of how What the Flop is actually playing this at the moment, Stranger, is that even though they are up on the high ground, taking the high grounds with their bunker, they aren't actually contesting the objective. That entire way through point B, there was very little time where somebody from What the Flop was actually contesting the payload, namely the Orisa or the Sigma, who is now over on the Diva. And we have this Winston combo coming up for Supernova again, so the Nano Boost and Monkey is going to be massive here from Chapadoodle.
Yeah, like you're saying, they're trying to be very defensive, but Supernova's doing a good job of disrupting and breaking that apart. Again with the Monkey Nano Boost, straight to that back line, kills a support. Repeat it if it doesn't work. if it works, don't change it. And there again, Drago does manage to kill one out with the bomb, but is it enough when the rest of the team falls apart? They're rolling this card up. Apollo does what they can, but the anti on them, their health bar absolutely disintegrates, and now they're just going to gatekeep that front door. They actually block K9 there from rolling in properly, still manages to make it in. Null, though, continuing that damage out. Drago's just desperation on the point. K9 trying to keep around it, but they might have rolled away. Ooh, just sneaks back with only a meter remaining. Their health bar not very good. Does end up getting taken down. What a bomb from Null that has cleaned the field. Strong performance.
Yeah, I can't really point out many flaws in that one at all, Stranger. That was clinical from Supernova on the offense there. Really chucking my What the Flop defense series down the drain. Yeah. So I'll take that L. I'll take that L, but next time I'm going to be on it. So now we'll have a peek at what Supernova will be doing on the defense. And they ran a really good dive on the offense, but I don't know how well it will fare on the other side. And I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out. I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see Reshade hop over to a more mid to long range hit scan like an Ashe, Cowboy, even maybe a Widowmaker if they're feeling it. But no, it looks like it will be Bunny taking up that one, going over to the Ashe, and it'll be very similar compositions from the both defensive sides, I should say. The big difference is, while I believe it was Drago was on the Torbjorn, it is going to be Reshade on the Tracer instead. So they obviously play very different roles. The Tracer will just put a little bit more pressure on that backline of Crimson and Turbo than the Torbjorn ever did. So that is something that the Brig will have to watch out for. Just peel for their honor, make sure they're nice and safe and secure, while everybody else is just kind of up on the high ground. And I want to see how Supernova does this differently to what the Flop did. I want to see how they actually contest the objective. It should be Null or Chapadoodle dropping down to actually contest that one, and they need to do that a little bit better than K9 and Apollo did, or they are going to get rolled just as they rolled What the Flop on their offense.
Yeah, it's exactly what you say. They're such a close comp. It's been interesting how they do it. Again, a nice jump up. K9 doesn't have the nano boost though, so the health bar falls to pieces. It just shows you the strength of that high ground when they're grouped like that. Powerful positioning.
Yeah, the Winston absolutely did a lot of damage though. Looking over to Liam Fox's ultimate, that one is already nearly online, which is ridiculous. So the Winston damage got a lot done, but they weren't able to actually keep themselves alive. They stayed on that high ground a little bit longer than they, I believe, would have intended to, courtesy of, it looked like a rock from Null, which just shut them down for a long, long time, and there's no surviving that if you're the Winston there, really.
Yeah, I like this. Another attempt up the bubble still. Double bubble working well to keep him alive this time. So K9 will have another attempt to go high. Still not too confident to go up there alone, but it is allowing some poke from the rest of the team, which is enough to get them off this high ground. Now with Super a bit more split up, you'd think that they'd have a little bit less advantage, but they're finding the kills to make this push worthwhile and just commit hard to this choke and get the kills to push them back to spawn.
Yeah, going so aggressive, more aggressive than What the Flop ever got a chance to, really. But now they'll all be returning up to that high ground, and they have so many ultimates coming online. It is going to be a super tough engage for K9, even with that nano boost online and the Zarya bubble that they will also have. Also, quick, what I wanted to point out, each time K9 has been engaging, the dynamite was coming out from Lazy Q at the same time. That obviously won't be happening anymore as they are over on the Tracer to contest Reshade, who has just been wreaking havoc. So that's an interesting matchup to watch as well.
Nano boost on the K9 to go for that high jump push, but gets booped off of it. Still makes great use of it. Drago to find the kill on their main enemy, the hit scan there. And so they still should have a strong hold attempt. Both tanks trying to make a hold on this point, but there's just a lot of damage coming out. And K9's now coming in to join the fun. Ends up stealing up that kill. Now Reshade with 150 health has to try and hold off an objective on their own against 4. Not likely. Beautiful cap.
No miracles there. It took a little bit of time, but once the ultimates came through, they were all over it, really. They do need to remember to cap the objective, though. And I love this aggression, trying to get some stagger picks. And these staggers are really important because it will secure them high ground for point B. And oh no, the Bob was chucked out to try and contest the point. They wanted to recontest that, but it was just a smidgen too late. And now that is a very crucial ultimate, just completely wasted from Supernova.
They're going to want that later, that's for sure. See them pushing to that high ground. Bob, do something. That's a classic moment right there. Reshade hunting for some kind of out of position pick, potentially. Team's holding that high ground well, but they got to deal with the poke. Even Anna's managing to get some damage out. Good hold, could be an attempt to get rid of them. See the quick commit there. They do manage to sneak that out, not before K9 could get in and defend him. So that gives them a good advantage here, but Drago's committing the ult to it as well. Lazy wins out that Tracer fight. A great headshot to finish that off, and the control will stay in Supernova's hand. Even Drago, having used this ult, wasn't enough.
Yeah, and as this fight kind of disintegrates before our very eyes, Stranger, this it really did highlight a big difference between how these two teams play the bunker comp on defense. The big thing that Supernova did that what the Flop weren't able to do was they actually won the fight. And they won the fight so decisively, and then they came back and fixed up the whole objective situation. So that is really well done by them. Much better use of the high ground than their compatriots there.
Yeah, Supernova's really winning out that time game at the start here. But double bubble committed. We get the aerial burst to come in from Drago, taking out Liam Fox, which is a big support player to lose at the beginning of a fight like this, keeping their rampage going with their second pulse bomb to balance out that's healing a little bit. And they managed to get rid of that aggressive echo too. So fight's kind of balanced out here. Still could go either way, but the cart moving nicely. The fight's separated. A9's kind of distracting most of the team while Apollo just gets to continually walk this up.
Yeah, Party on the Brig has also been landing some wonderful whip shots to deny K9 the high ground. That is definitely something that I think we've slept on throughout this map so far and definitely deserves a little bit more credit. But this fight isn't done, and it is Supernova just using that Baptiste ultimate to clean everything up. I don't think the Winston stands much of a chance there. They do escape with their life, which is actually kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that one at all. And that's actually really important, because then the Monkey can come back, give their supports a little bit of ult charge, and build up. That ult charge wouldn't be there, obviously, if they are back in the spawn room. But K9 is just always doing something on the Winston as well.
Here's the distract. Lazy actually plays to the cart here. They just walk it up slowly as the team get dominated. They figured it out though. Supernova, they know. Cart's on the move. Got to get back and defend this. Lazy knows when enough is enough to back on now. It actually walks away with it for free. So a little bit of space gained there out of that fight, even though they lost it.
Yeah, so there is some value being got by the high ground fights happening here. But they're really struggling to dive this bunker comp, which is unsurprising. Bunker usually can fare kind of well against a dive, especially with teams these caliber, and Brigida's as good as Party is. So that is definitely something to watch out for. And the bubble not on the high ground forces K9 to drop much earlier and get much less damage than they would have liked.
Yeah, forces them to play towards that cart, which as you see happening right now, pushing this battle around to that edge. I like K9 still committed to get up there now, and having that advantage up there is strong. Let's see what this clone of the Sigma can do. They'll need a big grab here to shut down some backline, potentially. Losing Crimson is not the way to do it though. Wow, what an absolute smashing of a fight there. They clean up now in the end as well, who was the only one left to stop the cart. K9's just bullying Party at the back corner there.
Yeah.
Good fight.
Yeah, the Nano Winstons have been so good, like from both teams throughout this series. Definite props has to go there. K9 not done. They'll get the stagger on the Orisa as well, which is absolutely brutal. It looks like everybody else will be able to escape. And yeah, but I want to just draw everybody's eyes to the top of the screen really quickly. It's already down to like just over a minute for What the Flop. They are nowhere near the time bank that Supernova was able to set, purely because the point B defense from Supernova, while it wasn't ultimately successful, it wound so much time off the clock, which is really valuable.
Yeah, Supernova really want to end it right here. K9's kind of stuck in that back line. The jump didn't quite help them out, so they end up getting trapped there. Now it's on the back foot. This is a strong position to be in for Supernova with only a minute remaining and pushing people back. Getting trickles even on Crimson here, who's really taking their time to go out. So that's a lot of healing removed for this kind of final push area.
Yeah, and it is final push with 30 seconds on the clock. This is final fight territory. And with Bunny up on the high ground, I hope they take that high ground with the Ashe. And if not, at least they do have that ultimate. The Bob on the point will just be such a hassle for anybody on What the Flop to deal with. This is looking like a Supernova map win.
And they will want that to bring this map score back up to 1-1. Bring themselves in the fight. Nano onto K9. Here we go. To see the classic monkey maneuver. Lots of stuns coming out. Still manages to clean up Liam Fox, but it's not before Reshade can take Crimson out the backline. So the healing kind of balanced out there. Reshade popping off, getting a good couple of kills there to just really hinder this. Push Apollo didn't have a chance at all against that strength. They do manage to touch it to get the overtime stacked back in, but this fight is all in Supernova's hands, and they will find it.
Yeah, they don't mess around. They're Supernova evening up this series at 1 apiece. Reshade on that defense. I was talking about it in the difference to the Torbjorn. They definitely proved their worth. Really went under the radar on point B, but on point C really made their influence shown. And as we get this play of the game here, there's Benny cleaning up on the Echo. There's good stuff all the way around, securing their team, the Staggers, to get them lots of positioning into point C. And as we said, Stranger, it is 1 apiece, so we have another map to go to, and it is going to be what the flops pick. So they will have the pick in between Junkertown, Watchpoint, Gibraltar, and Dorado. And given how well both teams did on that Nano Monkey, I would really love to see them head off to Watchpoint, Gibraltar. It's probably the most Winston favored map available to them. And I'd really like to see the Winston versus Winston matchup, which we didn't get to see. It was very much dive versus bunker, and the same when the teams swapped around size, I guess. So I really hope we get to see that, but it is up to what the flop to actually decide.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how what the flop had kind of struggled there with that Winston comp. I mean, maybe K9 really does just need to be on that Reinhardt or one of those two tanks at least. They just seem to feel a lot more comfortable, and the team is a lot more coordinated for that kind of build of the kind of play that they have. Supernova impressive there. I actually was really worried that what the flop might roll through a 3-0 here, but Supernova's come to the table and said, we're in this division for a reason. So I'm impressed by them. Let's see if they can keep that momentum as we go on to Junkertown.
It will be Junkertown, so we can expect, honestly, more bunker defenses, dive offenses. I think you could maybe get a bunker offense if you wanted to set up on the payload. And I think another prevalent theme of this map is going to be the long range hit scan. So that will be Lazy Q and Buddy coming out. Maybe even Reshade, I'm not too sure. We could get to see some Ash or a bit more Widowmaker as well, which could be really, really exciting there, excuse me. And bring it back to your point of K9 maybe, and the whole team benefiting from being on the Reinhardt more, that kind of adds up. Because we have to remember, this team has only been together for, you said in the pre-show, about a month. So like, that coordination, that synergy is the big word. That synergy maybe isn't there just yet, and they really have to clear up their comms on their dive to make it as efficient as it has to be to actually be successful. While the Reinhardt K9 can kind of maybe do a little bit more individual shot calling that is a bit easier to follow than the chaos of a dive.
Yeah, it's a lot looser, isn't it, really? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think they might have played a little bit into it. They were struggling. You could see K9 would get either they'd be kind of a bit early into it and be the only one. They'd take a lot of damage, and then they couldn't have that comfort of staying up there. Even with the team behind them, they just didn't have the power to hang into that fight. Whereas Supernova sometimes would just go straight in, Chapadoodle, just hold W, didn't care. Health bar's going down, it's all right. I have the confidence that I'm getting that bubble in my back, or I'm getting the heals are coming in strong, and that just makes that difference in those fights where you can continue your aggression and just kind of take more space on a map. So be interesting to see how they play out this map, because like you say, it still kind of does favor that kind of style.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the compositions play out very similarly to as we did on Hollywood. But we only have about 20 seconds, and then we'll get to see for reals, which is going to be really cool. And I'm going to use this quick time to remind everybody about the AOEsports Patreon. Make sure you check that one out, get some cool perks, and you help put on these tournaments that have prize pools, so the stakes are up there, and you have the chance to be a cool pro gamer. It is a real job, mum. Please believe in me. So that's going to be cool. But all of my speculation has been thrown out the window. It is neither bunker nor dive, but maybe playing back into the strengths of what the flop, they will be heading over to that Reinhardt composition. And I'm wondering if maybe they're going to try and hold the spawn doors here. Back on the May, they absolutely could try and hold the spawn doors if they crouch and get nice and quiet. And it looks like that's just what they're doing. On the offensive side, I don't want to speculate too much. I hope we get to see some Liam Fox Zen, because they are absolutely incredible. And I'd really like to see that pick and see them frag out, honestly. But the crouching, everybody is really, really quiet. except for Apollo, who cannot crouch, so they are hanging back a little bit. And it is going to be What the Flop holding the spawn doors here, just trying to while as much time off the clock as they can. And the immediate swap coming out from Supernova, they have been red.
Yeah, they're not having any of it. Switching out the door. We're coming out the other place. Sorry to burst your bubble. McCree's still close though, so Reshade looking for the stun attempt, but not quite going to have it. You see now the roll back. Chapper commits heavy into the fight, trying to get a sneaky kill out there. Immortality Field does keep What the Flop in the game though. Both sides having to use it up, but in the end, K9 does get taken out. That gives Supernova a good advantage into this battle. They know they have it, so they're going to keep the aggression forward. Apollo eats the rock. Look how quick these guys are just moving in. They use that Lucio to their advantage. Shut down Drago and Apollo. So now half the team going to have to be rolling back into the fight. They can just have all this free space.
And Apollo must have been hungry if he ate the rock. He's a big dude, you know. Like, he's busy in Hollywood and stuff. He's massive. But, yeah, the offense went really well there for Supernova. They saw what they were coming up against, realized what they were running wasn't going to work, and actually chose to essentially mirror it. It is a mirror matchup besides the off-tanks here. Null getting a lot of value on that Sigma, as you were saying. So this next fight is going to be really exciting. The Maywolf and Drago doesn't get much done, but Chapter again, so aggressive.
Double window, high noon used, but to no avail. Cart continues to roll, and What the Flop have to try and rotate around, but stay together as a team and get to this cart before it commits. May with the freeze. Just sit there and buy some time. Up comes the opposing May wall though. Shatter comes in as well from Chapper, but it's blocked out. Doesn't matter. K9 gets frozen into place. Can't defend off anything else. So now Apollo has to make their way onto the cart. That doesn't last 2 seconds, and first point will be found nicely by Supernova.
I think your point before, Stranger, about Chappadoodle just never letting go of W and how it has actually been a good thing for Supernova, in this case, has been really potent on Junkertown so far. They've been going so aggressive and being put in awful situations, quite frankly, but it has been Liam Fox, 2 times I've counted so far, saving them with the Immortality Field. Such good use of that crucial fight-winning ability there, really, allowing Chappadoodle to go that extra mile to get their team that little bit of extra space and put What the Flop way on the back foot in a position that they absolutely do not want to be in. We have dual May ults coming up, and the team is rotating. Oh no, they're going to get a drop onto the payload here.
Well, they go in for the Shatter attempt. It doesn't quite go to plan. Double blizzards on the field. Nobody's moving around except for Chappadoodle, who slides on through with the bash. Damn, Diva Bomb does get positioned in a nice place, but it is blocked off well. Chappadoodle's now cornered. K9 in, but with the Ana at the back, they are sustaining well, but there's a big team damage-wise coming up. Good Maywall from Supernova there. They just completely block off the charge for K9, who's now got the nano boost and trying to close the gap, but is having a hard time. Chappadoodle sees the back of the Reinhardts and just slam down to win that fight out, and now Apollo has to be the savior of the day to try and stop this from hitting point number 2. It is tight right now. Drago has to move in for the freeze as well. Good stall going on, but Apollo's health doesn't last. They get a good kill to that high ground and win the fight out.
Yeah, they got so much cart progress for free because it was, I believe, K9 and I think the supports. Crimson was definitely there. Just kind of skirmishing around by that mega health pack way around the other corner, completely out of the equation, not actually contesting the objective. So it would have been Reshade sitting on that one, just getting so much point push. And now it is Supernova taking the high ground again. And it is also a full composition swap up for What the Flop. So they are now behind on time, positioning, and ultimate economy. They are in an awful spot. And it will take an absolute miracle for them to come back and get some semblance of a hold on point C here.
Yeah, this is going to be a grind and a half. You can see they're trying to play that high ground. Reshade using the high noon just to keep them where they are for a little longer. Does manage to sneak a kill out of it too, so that is just absolute value and a half. And you can see the team are happy about it. Great Dragon Zone, but the beat drop keeps the team strong and going well, although that anti-nade really does put a stop to their plan. Good damage output from Turbo as well. And the cart will be stopped by Apollo. Null Knight having to actually play the game instead of just sitting on the objective, but doesn't have a good time with it.
Yeah, Crimson was hitting a few of those 4-5-man antis on Hollywood as well, but it was when Crimson was just about to die and they were the last one of their team to die. That time, though, everybody was there to capitalize on the massive play, and it was absolutely a fight-winning ability use there from Crimson. Swapping over to the Ana Turbo on the BAP as well, so the double you'd assume double aim supports coming out. And speaking of antis, another huge one from Crimson, who has the nano boost online.
Yeah, good positioning as well, playing off. This is a great Gravitic Flux. It shuts down 2. Out of the sky. The Blizzard on the point, though, for Supernova will really put a harsh play for K9. He ends up managing to survive through most of it with the shields and most of the abilities they have. They've cornered Chapadoodle now, though, and it's not going to end well for them. Shutting down. They can get some good trickle kills here. The delayed play that Maywall only split them off for a second and delayed their deaths.
Yeah, that was a good hold. I do have to give them that. And I'm honestly kind of surprised because I thought that they were really going to struggle. But now they're in a really good spot because now they have the positioning and they have some ultimates to use as well. Also, really nice use of the nano boost onto K9. Not your typical target of the Orisa, but it kept them alive through the Blizzard that was trying to clutch up. And the amplification matrix is so massive. That fight's over before it even starts, Stranger.
Yeah, 2 crucial kills right there. And they managed to pick Chapadoodle out on the way out the door. So just burning away that clock here as much as they can.
I love the adaptations that we're seeing from What the Flop. My critique of them on Hollywood was that they really struggled to actually drop down from the high ground and actually take the fight. Like, they had the positioning, but they didn't do anything with it. Now they absolutely are, and it is proving very difficult to actually deal with. So now we can only start to think what would have happened on Hollywood if they played this well then.
Oh, the timing on this push was immaculate there. That pillar moved around just to where they needed it in time. Lazy gets a good kill with the dragons, but the higher ground has been handed over to Supernova now. They want to make their way onto this objective. Chapadoodle drops down with the hammer and just absolutely pops it. Drago has the ult. The shatter doesn't quite reach. The range is not there as they continue to pile drive damage in, but Chap is holding that W key as normal, managing to push this card along. There's only 4 meters left in it, and the stagger from What the Flop now means that they have a bit of a disadvantage. If they can stay alive for a bit longer, they'll be looking good. You can see the supports trying to make their way onto this objective to hold it down. Chapper wants to get that swing on. Reshade shutting down the one. Both supports removed from the fight. This is looking really strong for Supernova. They get the window up as well. Fire Strike to go through, deflected away, but doesn't matter. The damage is done. Reshade cleans up and they find the objective.
Yeah, it took them a while on point C there, but they eventually did kind of crack the defense. So really well done all the way around from them. And getting a full complete is so important. The time bank, not as prevalent on Escort, in perfect honesty. Like, you can come down from a massive time bank deficit on Escort much better than you can on something like Hybrid or Assault. So it's the 3 points on the board is the most important bit there for Supernova. And now we get to see how they go on their offense. They had a pretty good offense all the way around on Hollywood, so maybe that will be replicated here. My big question is, they did the K9 was momentarily playing the Ryan on the defense. Are they going to try it on the offense or not? And we can't really speculate about that. They have so much time to change. But we can talk about this defense, and this is something we haven't seen yet. The Liam Fox Zen is coming out. This is such an aggressive composition on the defense. What they're going to want to do is, it will be Null, I'm pretty sure, sitting with Bunny and Liam Fox, and probably Party on there as well, honestly. And they will all be in this tight-knit group, accommodating Liam Fox to lend the Discord orbs, where Reshade and Chapadoodle will engage, collapse, and with that extra damage given by that Zenyatta ability, we'll hopefully get some pretty potent dives coming out. So the heals are going to have to be really good from Turbo, and they might have to use that Immortality field a little bit earlier than they might be used to with the Zenyatta on the fields. And speaking of Zenyatta's, Crimson gets their head ripped off.
Yeesh, what a start. It's going to put a little bit of a downward spin on it, although they do manage to sneak Chapadoodle out there with a couple of stunts, putting them in a bad spot. You don't want to lose a tank that early into a fight like this.
No, good thing the Wrecking Ball will be back pretty quick, but they do have to give up so much positioning, and there's so much time here that nobody on their team is really getting ult charge, except for Apollo, who goes way too aggressive. That was just straight up not good from Apollo, quite honestly.
I think maybe they were trying to catch, you know, some of the backline off guard, especially for a team like this where they are so squishy and able to be like kind of snuck out, but it didn't work out at all.
And we finally see the dive with the Discord Orb and the Tracer coming through, getting 2 kills off of that one. Really good coordination between Liam Fox and Reshade there.
So far so good for Supernova. They're really doing well to hold it. And What the Flop is struggling to find that crack point to get this momentum going. They finally get a full team together. They got to be careful not to lose anyone. The disrupt from Chap is good to keep them split. And there goes Lazy. This is how you want to do it. Just keep chipping away at them, one kill at a time. Stop their momentum just from that.
I think disrupt is a huge word in this composition, Stranger. That is Chapadoodle's main job. They aren't there like a Winston is to get kills or use resources from the Ana. They're just trying to make the life of What the Flop an absolute living hell, and they're doing that so far. They do have to be careful though. They are discorded, and they do manage to get to safety. And now they'll just be able to re-engage again. With no immortality on the field, any dive target is super vulnerable.
Looks like What the Flop trying to get that cart back on the roll. They do manage to get quite a bit of space here, of course. Supernova not the most front-heavy kind of team. Ooh, Apollo goes to the attempt thinking they're backing up heavy, but overshoots it just slightly. Great shot from Bunny, though, with the Dragons. Cleans up across the lane. Apollo does manage to get this high ground, which is a strong place to be, especially with all these squishies running around. Wins the fight out with Null, and now it's down onto the supports who are having a rough time. With Supernova split like this, What the Flop could get some space if they actually play on the objective.
Yeah, and again, you're hitting these nails on the head, Stranger. They were split. The Zenyatta, the Hanzo, and the Sigma were not all together like I'm pretty sure they should be, and the Mercy as well was dead. So that core was not together, so it wasn't operating well, and that is when they're really going to struggle. But they will have a recontest here.
Yeah, Chapadoodle not afraid to get near that point. Looking to disrupt their background again. Another good minefield. Drago with the Dragons to try and split anyone near the point. Apollo trying to get the move on, but Null's there to shut down.
They're just trying to clean up. Yeah, Lazy Q popping that Soldier ultimate, trying to get something done. And I think as it goes on, this will eventually go in their favor, though.
Yeah, I mean, they really took their time to get there. I mean, Supernova had a great, strong start once they were set, but after they got broken to pieces, it's just really hard for them to get back on their feet.
Yeah, the question is, are they going to stay on this composition? And it looks like it is. Bigger question for K9, will they stay on the Wrecking Ball? Because they are a considerable distance towards that minefield, even though they did hop onto the ball. I'm pretty sure just to get back to the objective to actually contest it. But it looks like they're almost wanting to stick on it. Again, very similar composition to their counterpart. And K9 trying to replicate some of the success that Chapadoodle had in disrupting the backline of Supernova.
Yeah, great gravitic flux here. Does manage to get a support right down the bottom of the stairs there. So damage output beautiful. Getting rid of Liam Fox removes a huge threat from the fight. And they can continue their movement. They'll get the space nicely.
Yeah, the flux up front was so good from Apollo. And the follow-up was there. Everybody in that tight corridor. The Hanzo isn't going to miss those shots. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, even though the Cowboy says that line. Hanzo taking good use of it there. Will there even be a recontest? Chapadoodle's pretty far away, but it is Reshade going in and getting rocked.
Oh, double stun with the instant kill. That just hurts. Chapadoodle does make it to the objective, but just a few seconds too late. Man, that would... you just walk around the corner and get instantly deleted.
It's not very cash money. It's why so many Tracer players just hate Brigida with all of their heart, because it just completely shuts them down. But yeah, so great play to keep this offense going, and they have a lot of time going into point C. But if we have to remember this is a very similar situation to what Supernova was in, so maybe they'll be able to pull off some multi-minute defense here as well.
Yeah, What the Flop, what we thought was a strong defensive team playing a very good offense up until this moment where Liam just started to find their hits. Great headshot there to win out the fight there. They want to stop the momentum here completely. I think What the Flop realized this is a bit of a rough one. They're trying to back out. Some well-placed rocks damage, shut down the Brig Shield, and Turbo can't get away from it. A trickle here on Apollo as well. See if the Dragons can make up for it at all.
Doesn't look like it though. The Brigida is very out of position, and that's something that the Wrecking Ball is trying to capitalize on. But in doing that, they put themselves in an awful position, and they do very rightfully get picked off for that. And again, these compositions when the core support Sigma long-range DPS, when they aren't together, they are really, really struggling. So that's something that they need to keep in mind. Not get disrupted by the Wrecking Ball, the objective too much. Stick together and keep on doing their game plan.
What the Flop have a lot of ults though to engage in here. Although losing K9 early, not great. Out comes the Zen ult to try and hold it off, but Reshade's just hitting damage out. The pulse bomb gets the kill they're looking for. The minefields there. Drop down Apollo, didn't realize that they just landed on the landmine and gets eaten alive.
Yeah, that's also a huge rally from Turbo there that was used, I think, quite late. Didn't get nearly as much value as that ultimate has to be. And Reshade on the back end is just tearing up on the Tracer. So good in this series so far. Even when they weren't doing as well like they were on Lijiang Tower. But, oh, another kill, Reshade, you're a nut. And that just shaves even more time off the clock. And it is that multi-minute defense as Reshade gets picked off the in line.
Takes a moment just to stand there and laugh, and then gets taken out by Lazy as a punishment. Here we go. Apollo with a nice gravitic flux to shut down now. They got rid of a shield here. That's a lot of damage they can just throughput now. And you can see how it works with them. Lazy managed to shut down 2 supports there. Gives them a lot of room to work with. The ult burns up there. They don't manage to get any more, but it doesn't matter. Look at the space they'll gain from that fight.
So much. And the payload is finally on the move. I don't think they'll finish with more time than Supernova did, but they are in a position to finish here. In saying that, it will be a very dry fight, not many ultimates coming up, so it will be just getting value out of your neutral abilities here.
Yeah, they're really trying to move the cart. It's being stalled quite well by Chapadoodle, but they have the high ground here. What the Flop want to make good use of it. Losing Drago, not great for this battle. Reshade gets stunned, but has the recall to get away from the fight, so it's alright to continue the battle. 30 seconds on, and we do have a pause. Wow, what a time to have to pause it up.
Names immediately being dropped of who DC'd from the lobby. And, oh no, it looks like it was Apollo. So they are gone. And it's actually at a really bad time for Apollo, because as they get brought back into the lobby, they will have to come all the way back from spawn. So now it is a 5v6 for the foreseeable future of what the Flop here is saying that 5v5 because Liam Fox has just fallen, but still, it's not the time for a DC.
Oh man, I mean, 30 seconds. He's going to lose all that ult charge. It is going to be rough indeed. They do have the Zen ult for some sustain, but Chapadoodle's going to have that minefield coming online shortly, which is just going to zone point very effectively. It's going to be a hard fight.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. I'm just really bummed out that my screen at the moment doesn't give me like a super good view of where everybody actually is, because then I'd have a lot more to talk about. But from what I can see, the Null is on the point on the Sigma. They're loading up a rock, but they have that point pretty well contested. Even though Lazy Q, I believe, is up on the high ground on the Soldier, maybe going to challenge Benny, who is also up there doing Hanzo things and firing off arrows. But
I think Crimson and Turbo are about to meet a swift demise without any tanks there to help them out. They got Chapadoodle on the wrong side of them. They got Null with the rock coming in. Reshade's looking very keen to get up there. Unless this Discord Orb on Reshade really hinders them and Crimson hits like a fat shot to just take them out of the battle, it's going to be pretty hard to get back around that corner to join the tanks, especially when one of them's going to be coming right back from the spawn point.
You can't rule it past Crimson to hit one of those left clicks on the Tracer. It is what these Zenyatas are so good at this level. They can just pull it out every now and again. And also, I think another big detail is going to be, I was talking about how there aren't many ultimates actually around. I was kind of lying, because the minefield from Chapadoodle on the defense can be absolutely massive. If you chuck it on the payload, there's nobody that wants to be taking that minefield damage. It might have to be Crimson popping that ultimate to just kind of clear the payload of all the mines, just making it really difficult to actually contest the objective. Or they could play the other card and they could put the minefield behind. You said it was Crimson and Turbo who are about to go down. They could, if they manage to live, they could put it behind them so they have no retreat, and then track them down with somebody like Reshade going in, or even Null going super aggressive with the help from Bunny. So I don't know. There's so many variables here, and I'm really curious as to what the teams are thinking. Are they planning, or are they just kind of having a chin wag? Like, I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I do feel like Supernova's in a pretty strong spot here with this last 30 seconds in the ult kind of economy in their favor. They had a pretty good hold like most of this way along. I mean, only until just the last few moments did What the Flop have any good momentum. So we're coming down again to that last kind of spawn point where the defending team can get quite defensive and play it out like a little slower pace than they want. So let's see how that kind of works for them. I do think that as soon as we go back on here, it's going to be really bad for these sports on What the Flop. I'm just watching it.
We'll have a what's it? Is it just a mortem? Because it isn't a post-mortem because they aren't dead. Like, what do we say? Is it just like condolences? Like,
yeah, nothing personal, kid.
Yeah, poor dudes. So wait, just a second. It's 2-1 to Supernova at the moment, right? Or is it 1-1?
No, it's 1-1, isn't it? Yeah,
okay.
1-1.
I was gonna say, I hope we haven't completely glossed over that this defense could win them the series, but I don't think it will.
Well, not only did Turbo and Crimson get killed, Turbo got booped from behind for a Chapper, which shut down the shield, so that rock could hit, in fact, landed and stunned them. So that's just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, the question is, will there be a recontest here? They do have some very fast-moving boys, so maybe they'll be able to get something done, but it is Riche just guarding that underneath passage so nobody can get through. They are in a position to get a recontest with Apollo back in the fight now.
Yeah, this is good. Wrecking Ball goes to the high ground to try and disrupt. There's that minefield we talked about, straight on to the point, and look at how it zones out. Exactly what you talked about as well. Gonna use that Xenot to try and get in there, clear some space so that they can keep the contest on that overtime, which is indeed now in play. RK9, what a position on their minds as well, right behind. Pulse Bomb unfortunately does take out Crimson. They lose their second support. So beautiful play by Super. They just absolutely clear them out one by one. Tactical kills win them that map.
Victory.
Yeah, they did the video game thing. You said Supernova had it all, and they do actually take Junkertown. So we were talking about it. I'm pretty sure this was off stream, but we're talking about how some teams are just really good on control, and then once they go off that, they kind of flounder. And also there's that massive anti-nade from Crimson that won them that fight. And it was LaserQ who reaps the rewards of that one. Oh, what a shot! That was filthy.
Very dirty.
But as I was kind of saying before, I got very sidetracked by some cool Hanzo arrows. Some teams really do just thrive on control, and once they go off that, they kind of fumble. And it looks like that might be the case for what the flop is. Supernova kind of reasserting that maybe they are in fact the #1 team in this division after what the flop kind of claimed that title in the seeding rounds.
Yeah, well, they're definitely showing why they're there. Such a different team. I mean, maybe they were just warming up on round #1. You know, they're just performing so much more tight-knitly than they were earlier on. So impressive stuff. What the flop they didn't flounder that whole match. I think they were pretty strong there. They just kind of had a few moments where I think Supernova kind of outs them just enough to win it out. So very tight here. We're definitely gonna. I think this might even go to 2-2. What do you think?
I'm not too sure. Just quickly on what we've just watched on Junkertown before we do head over to Hanamura. It's I think it's a really bold decision from what the flop to try and mirror the like Wrecking Ball Sigma composition that was being thrown around. Like you can view it two different ways. You can view it as, wow, that's confident, they know what they're doing and they trust themselves to be able to play at this level, or you can see maybe they're being a bit of a silly goose and aren't making the right call at all. And given how it played out, you'd have to lean towards the latter, which is kind of unfortunate. But either way, I do admire the confidence of what the flop and whoever made that call to actually rock with that composition. I do not think we'll be seeing anything of the sorts on Hanamura, purely because that is, especially on point A, there's one way to get through, really, if you're a Tracer and a Wrecking Ball, and it's both through that one choke, so you don't really have that option to come in from multiple angles super well. So I think that is a real downfall of the composition as we head over to 2CP. We could definitely, especially on the offense, see return of the nano-boosted Winston, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that at all. There's also a few opportunities for Reinhardt. Hanamura, and given how these teams are playing, they aren't afraid of like flexing their muscles a little bit, playing some different compositions that maybe we wouldn't expect.
I think that's good. I think you got to be a little bold in this kind of style, especially when things aren't working. Having the, kind of bravery to just mix it up completely. Sometimes that's all you need, just catch the enemy off guard a little bit. They're not quite expecting it, and it can win you fights.
And we are getting a peep at these defensive compositions. And, yeah, excuse me. It's going to be very similar to what we saw on Hollywood A defense for what the flop here. Big difference is Drago not opting for the Torbjorn, which is actually sort of viable here on Hanamura. Instead going for the Echo, and that will be Turbo up in the air with them giving the damage boost. So while that combo of Drago and Turbo are going to get a whole lot of work done, it does leave Crimson super vulnerable. And if they are put in a position where they are dived by Chapadoodle and they have to use their immortality field really selfishly, it leaves their tanks of Apollo and K9 in an awful position to just get squashed. And what are these rotations here? Going up to the high ground, trying to go through the window?
Bunny just like face planted into K9 there for a second by accident, and K9 got a bit of a fright. It was like this invisible wall in front of me. Good rotate onto the point. I got the Lucio, gets them around. They do dive that backline onto Crimson like you were saying. The Reaper for this close range battle is so strong, and Reshade's looking to make good use of it as much as they can. The point being capped, they've got to get on. K9 has to commit. The shield, unfortunately, not where they want it. Immortality gets placed well. They are able to stall this for just a little longer. K9 really trying to make their space as much as they can, but these shields are not really giving them much room to work with. Does find the kill on Reshade, which is strong, but they lose Apollo here. Party not afraid to apply that damage well as a support. They smashing K9 in the corner, and the objective is stolen out.
It's just so brutal for what the flop to actually try and walk onto that objective when they're walking into a Reaper. And these staggers, oh no, this is actually going to be massive for Supernova.
Yeah, this is what it's going to be. The hack as well to really just shut down any attempt at defense. They have to use the Mercy ult, but then the manual hack on them, so they can't do a whole lot much more. Moving around, down comes the beat. Diva Bomb into the sky, and it does beat out Apollo there. Reshade keeping that damage going as well on the point. Now Crimson, the support, having to play that selfish use, but in the end, Reaper's ult is just way too effective at shutting that down, especially at point blank range like that. K9 has the health, but not for long. And in the end, they're going to trickle them down slowly, one by one. This Diva Bomb's going to have to be big, but the bubble placement is great. Protects the whole team out. Chapadoodle's done what they need to. What a point take.
That is filthy. 5 minutes, 7 seconds on the clock. Null summed it up pretty well in match chat here. 2 CP with a sneaky little ellipsis on the back end of that. So, that's all 5 and 7. That is a ridiculous time bank. That is so quick. And this, I was talking about it before on Junket Down. Time bank isn't that big of a deal on Escort, but it certainly is on 2CP. It also could mean that if what the flop pull out something similar, we could be going the distance on Hanamura. But with that offense, Supernova have put themselves in a wonderful position to not only take this map, but in essence of that, take the series as well, because they are up 2-1 at the moment. So they have put themselves in a wonderful spot to get this first round of Ascent in their favor.
Yeah, they're showing a strong performance here. I guess they would have chosen to be on the attack first, to kind of set that mark as well. So interesting how that'll come into effect in this. Do you see what the flop having the same effect here? They just roll on at the second objective. It can happen, I guess.
They are running a very similar composition. Again, I don't know if this is the meta or them just saying, "Oh yeah, they did that good. Let's give it a try ourselves." Chapadoodle asking for them to throw because he has plans. That's exciting, I guess. But no, very quickly on Supernova's offense, they had a really cool rotation onto point A where they went all the way around left side up the stairs and then through that top left window, kind of negating the whole one choke thing that I was talking about. Drago does manage to make it through the choke on the Sombra Invisible without getting hit. And it looks like they're doing a very similar thing here. So very carbon copy offenses here, but the May wall from Bunny is huge.
Yeah, strong. K9 does get separated, but manages to bring it into the room where they can play to their strengths, and it does actually work out for them. Null, what a charge from Chappa, manages to take Apollo out of the fight completely, but they have to give their whole life for it. So now, lots of squishy players from Supernova on this objective, and with K9 getting aggressive in this front line, it's going to be hard. Bunny has the freeze here. The wall does block off a lot of the team, and they find the kills that they really need to just hold this out.
Sorry, I was laughing at Bash chat that whole time. But no, I kind of glossed over it before I threw it over to you, but there was a massive Mei wall from Bunny in that on that top window. So that meant that only K9 actually got through, and everybody else was just stuck behind, and it meant that Winston just didn't get much done and didn't stay alive. So really good play of the Mei wall as well, and they got it again. Everybody's isolated.
Yeah, this is really good. K9 has to commit that ult there to keep the survivability. Lots of damage out, and they actually do find two particularly strong kills. Party on that loose and Reshade with the McCree. So stun and AoE heals removed from the battle. They continue that aggression going well. Null's on the point, but with the hack, they can't do a lot of defensive moves. And K9 comes in to just say, hey, you like my shield?
They do the thing, and they cap the objective. It's already out of the question, I'm pretty sure, to be as quick as Supernova were. But the snowball is actually looking kind of poggers for what the flop here. They have a really big EMP for Drago, so if that can land, Party is also not quite at that sound barrier. So if that ult ability does land, it's going to be so huge for anybody to combo into. I was going to say the coalescence, but Crimson does the gamer thing and doesn't quite make the jump. I don't even know if that's possible for Moira, but after that it just kind of forces a reset. You can't fight that with your main healer dead. He's saying that they do get a few picks, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere whatsoever. A few more choosing to take the plunge, Apollo following suit. So we will have to wait.
I think with the speed boost, Moira can make the jump, but they must have just failed the coordination or something.
Bit of a bro moment right there for Crimson. Chuck that in the highlight. I'm sure I'll see that all over Twitter later tonight. It does happen, I guess. So it maybe won't be as much of a snowball, but they will be able to... No, they won't. Crimson's dead again.
Oh man, that is brutal. Losing a support that strong. And as well, it's important to note, Supernova's not letting that off lightly. They are pushing every single time. And look at how they just get these trickle kills. They just want to keep buying as much time as they can. Trying to catch out Lazy here off to the side. Lucio there. Lazy knows what a lost fight, just out of that. Backs up the corner and manages to stay alive, which is great.
Yeah, they jumped. They did the whole cool guys don't look at explosions things. Jumped off the map and tallied up on the high ground where they couldn't get shot. Let's see if Crimson can get close to the point without getting their head ripped off this time round. And there's so many ultimates. There's 6 on the cards though.
Ooh, that high noon doesn't land as expected. Gravitic Flux onto the point, down comes the bomb, they go for the Reaper roll, but the Shatter shuts it down. Apollo does manage to hit the only ult that's worth anything, killing Party out of the battle. There's Lazy with the damage, 2 kills down there. Apollo wants to be part of the fun as well, and they've just cleaned out the point amongst all the chaos. The normal shots were what they needed. Lucio gets eliminated. Reinhardt with a cross up, but the hacks prevents the pin from fully landing. The trickle fun begins here. Null makes their way onto the point to try and stall for a little bit. Not going to go so well. The boot just keeping them disrupted. They brought the Reaper to the fight here, which could be strong, but unfortunately Drago's all over it, and they really are just trickling on to stall this as long as they can. But Chapper gets melted, and that will end it.
They cap. And because of the whole 2-minute thing, the 5-minute time back goes down to 4:24, which is still massive versus the 2 minutes for What the Flop. I was really worried about that offense for What the Flop. I thought that maybe because those 2 stagger fights where Crimson died early, it gave Party enough time to actually build up to that sound barrier, and I thought that as a counter was going to be really potent, but the EMP was still strong enough, negating those abilities. It's a great job from Drago. They landed the 2 crucial targets. They landed on Chapadoodle. Pretty sure it was onto like Bunny or Reshade as well. So they locked down the people that they needed to, and then they were able to get onto point, and not much hesitation after that. Also, interestingly enough, both teams, it looks like, for the... Oh no, never mind. I thought K9 was going to run Ryan offense. But we are seeing a Ryan defense come out. So maybe they are speculating the Winston dive again through that top window, and they want to hold point. And if so, Benny, if they land another wall like that, it's going to be absolutely massive, especially with only minimal fights on the clock. They only have 2 minutes to crack this. They don't have the luxury, like they did on their first push, of taking the time to build out those ultimates. They kind of have to get it pretty snappy.
5, 4,
Yeah, this is going to be a one push wonder, I think. They really want to just do this one and done with this first objective push. Again, they're going in for that interesting high ground play. Burns a lot of time doing something like this, but you know, if it works, then it's good. I like that Apollo keeps them dragged at that lower level as well, so that they're not going to be ready for that high ground push when it does happen. Taking them a long time to commit to this though. They're already 30 seconds burnt away. They finally make it through, and again, another wall to split them up. They break through it quickly though to get to this high ground and be grouped. Chapadu with a pin attempt. It crosses up Lazy nicely, but Reshade's been lost, so the fight's still 50-50 here. Tank positioning will be crucial to just win out these battles. They're still struggling to find these next picks here. Keeping that high ground is really good for what the flop. They've split Chappa here, who goes for another pin attempt. Hack again to shut it down. There's the kill they were looking for. Unfortunately, Chappa got kind of left there from the rest of the team. And that just gave what the flop all the space they needed. Window does go up, but there's a lot of places to hide on this objective. You don't have to give that line of sight away, especially when they have to come to you on this objective. Up goes the Immortality to try and give some sustain. Freeze on the objective because he's big. So can the Diva Bomb, which does land too. That's a beautiful take there for Apollo. And now when your Baptiste has to be the one to hold, it's not going to go well for you. They will find this point with 30 seconds to spare.
Yeah, so they will cap it, which is really good. And now this is where I was talking about the snowball on their first offense. This time they have no time to mess around. They have that EMP, they have the Primal Rage, they have genuine capabilities to snowball this before Party gets up that sound barrier, and they aren't messing around with any over-the-coast tactics. They're just going to go straight to the point and pop that EMP.
Yeah, you can see they're looking for the space here. There
It's huge!
It's mostly everyone. That's amazing placement right there. The pressure on that tank line is brutal. This Diva Bomb has to slap, but unfortunately it just doesn't quite do what they need it to do. It's a very split fight here though for what the... They have to get grouped. There it is. K9 doing the damage. The bomb lands on them though to take them out of the battle. They lose both their tanks. Beat drop here. Absolutely huge for Supernova. This will give them a lot of sustain in the battle. They do take out Turbo, and with only 10 seconds and a Tracer here, the Immortality Field gives them all the protection they need, and the point will be held. I don't know if it just sneaks on there at the last second, but what are they going to do? Not a lot is the answer to that. Sombra has to desperately hold on to that. Monkey will get their chance to get back on, but gets roasted instantly. This is just a desperate attempt to get on at this point. It's not looking good, and I think Supernova have got great control over this whole thing.
Yeah, they got hit by a massive EMP, but they didn't fumble. And now, Supernova has a clear win condition to take this series. They just need to get a single tick on point B, and they have defeated what the flop and have pretty much asserted themselves at the top of Division 2 of ASCENT this season. Very quickly as well, that first EMP, or the only EMP I should say from Drago, it was huge. It got 6 people, but I'm starting to think that EMP pre-Overwatch 2 and all the changes that are being made there is going... It's very much a similar trajectory to Mercy's old res. Like, maybe if you get 6, it's like too much of a good thing, and you really struggle to track everybody down. Kind of like with the res, how they were that ultimate. It could get all 6, but it was better to just do 1 and like a tempo res. If you get 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 crucial people, you have a very clear indication of who you need to target. And the EMP was just, it was great, but they didn't actually follow up as well as they maybe could have. And you said it was very split. Everybody went on their own skirmishes trying to get the picks, but it just didn't go their way. So that could also just come down to shot calling. Somebody needs to be saying, hey, this is the most important person. This is the win condition of who we have to get. So kind of unlucky that that EMP didn't play off. It definitely had potential. And it looks like we're finally seeing some Symmetra shenanigans on point A here. The Fire Strike gets eaten up. Everybody's going right side. I'm pretty sure K&M will have called that out to the team. They're suspecting it, and it looks like they were thinking about backing up the point here, but now they'll really have to.
Look, they got a lot of time to play with, but they don't care. They're going in fast and strong. They do lose 2 in the end. Chappadoodle doing what they can, but we end up with the pause and the chaos. Oh, man.
If it's Apollo again... Oh no, we're just waiting, trying to see who it actually is. It looks like somebody's just lagging pretty awfully, but that's all right. I don't think it was a massive technical difficulty, just the old OCE ping spike, which does happen. But either way, with 2 down and the positioning of what the flop, this should be going in their favor pretty soonly, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Liam Fox gets picked off. This is going to have to be a reset for the offense. I hope they don't stay on the Symmetra. It didn't work, and now that what the flop are expecting it, that surprise element, which is really crucial to those telestrats, is completely out of the window. But alas, it does look like they're actually going to try again. I think Null on the Diva has to, once they get onto the objective, immediately 180 and eat up all of the damage coming through. And they instead go for the high ground, but a bunch of people do actually get booped off.
Another good May wall to split the team up. Chappa managed to get away from it this time. They get the freeze off. Again, these tanks being sustained well. What a shatter, instantly killing 2. And the Diva bomb into the back to follow up. They commit the ults to it. Chappa's absolutely deleted as well. Man, they committed a lot.
Yeah, but that was a huge... They committed both tank ultimates, but it was one after the shatter from K9. It killed 2 and hit 3 additional players. That's, what, 5 out of 6 of their team. So good. That's a fight-winning ultimate on its own. The Diva bomb was just for show-off, really. Just for the celebration.
Good use of the old 4K monitor. High and noon from way back. Mostly blocked off from those walls, and the wall coming up there as well from Drago. Split onto the point. Another wall shuts off the gate just as the last bit of percent to come in.
Party!
Oh my goodness, Party with the double boop. That force around from the May wall is big. Man, I can't believe that they held point A for that long even after that May wall came up.
Yeah, I agree. They did such a good job, and the Symmetra big wall covering the choke made it so difficult for any damage to come through. They were completely safe. And Chappa goes for another shatter, not nearly as successful as K9 was though.
Definitely not. There comes the freeze right on this point. It's going to shut down 2, 3 out of action. They managed to get the kills on K9 out of it as well. Chappa's looking for a couple of close range targets. That May freeze is really punishing them though. So that first tick, not quite going to happen on this first push.
No, they do have a little bit of time to maybe build up some ultimates though. I think the really crucial one is going to be the Blizzard, which is very close to being up for Bunny. And we're going to have to see what they do with that. They'll have to try and catch K9 in it. And if they secure that kill, it could very much snowball in their favor. But they have to get the kills quickly. 2 CP, you have no time for messing around. The respawns are so brutal for the offense.
Yeah, well spotted there. No, managed to play to this high ground. I like this positioning. They reset that turret. Blizzard onto the point. We get another pause just as we're about to hit this first tick. Oh my goodness.
No.
What a tie.
It's Apollo again.
Oh, man. On the defense as well.
I personally don't think it means too much to those stranger. This is very much going very much going the way of Supernova. And I was talking about how they had to isolate K9 with the Blizzard, and they actually did it in a really interesting way. They dropped it to where K9 would have to drop off the high ground to actually contest the objective. And so they have no choice. They have to walk into it, or they see 9 and throw the game. So they have to hop on, but they're just going to get eaten up by that Blizzard. They have the May and the Lucio, it looks like, who are on the point outside the radius of that May ultimate. But Reshade is all over them like white on rice, and I'm pretty sure that's the Lucio going to get involved as well. So it's looking dire for what the flop here.
Yeah, this was a pretty effective push. I mean, I don't think they quite reacted quick enough for one tick, to win. When they push to that high ground, I mean, you have to pretty much be on that point before they even get there to make sure that they don't get any free value out of that. Which is hard because putting someone on that objective with 6 people dropping on their heads is never fun.
Yeah, and also we have to talk about how this this Diva ultimate is coming up. That's going to be brutal as well because it's very possible that K9 actually gets frozen up by this May ultimate, and then obviously they won't be able to hold up their shield. There goes K9 and Crimson on the Baptiste there. So it's not looking super wonderful. The only real hope, I think, is if Drago and Turbo can stagger out for long enough and then Lazy Q hits some absolutely monstrous high noon from the top ropes. But I really, really doubt it at this point. The R's are being chucked around in chat, so we're ready to go back in. I think this might be the shortest restart of all time, Stranger.
Yeah, this is going to be seconds in it. You see Lazy does have to drop down. The Blizzard actually does catch them. That Diva Bomb, exactly as you thought. The Lucio managed to hold the point off for just a little longer, which is good. They can't afford really to get off of it at all. Polo doing well. As we thought, the kills going out in Supernova's favor. That tick almost taken. Lazy managed to get on for a second more, but in the end, Supernova, beautiful play.
Yeah, they go 3-1, a bit of a slow start, but once they kind of found their footing on that second map, they didn't hesitate at all. This was such a good boop. I actually saw this from my perspective. I don't know if the stream caught it, but they caught the rotation around the outside, read them like a book. So nice from Party, cleaning up the BAP as well. Just
very good.
I love seeing Lucios get boops.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
They deserve them.
They do. Big up Lucio players.
Damn, so Supernova, they started rusty, lost that first map, and then from there they got their footing and they just kept that steamroll going. So very impressive. Of course, what the flop was a bit more of a newer team together, so I'm almost not surprised. I think obviously Supernova just have that a little stronger team comp together, and maybe that made the difference tonight.
Yeah, it very well could have. In saying that, Supernova now pretty decisively back at the top of Division 2, maybe toppled what the flop from that position. But do not go anywhere. We have another game still tonight. We're heading up to Division 1. It will be B0RB versus Goodnight. That is going to be a ripper of a game as well. Again, two of the top teams in that division going at it like wolves. So that is really exciting. We'll be getting to that one, I believe, after a pretty short break. So don't go anywhere. Keep your butts in your seats because we have more fantastic Overwatch.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Ascent Season 5. We just had a great Div 2 matchup before. Great stuff from Supernova to take that out. And now we're going on to a Division 1 game. This is going to be the Big Boys League. And a fantastic game to start off our season. We've got B0RB versus Goodnight.
Yeah, and if that first match that we just saw is any indicator of what this is going to be like, this is going to be awesome. I'm so excited. Two stacked teams at the very, very top of Div 1. Very notable names on both sides of the equation. And we're going to start off with B0RB. Just take a quick little look at their roster. They're starting off with Spades and Benji on the tanks. They have Fed and Addict, who's subbing in for Quinn, excuse me. And Bork and Sector are on the supports. A lot of these people also played in the Mutnik tournament that we talked about earlier. Very, very good all the way around. I was particularly impressed with Fed and Quinn, who is not here at the moment, but they did play very, very well. And we also have Goodnight on the other side of things, Stranger.
Yeah, we do. Goodnight's sporting Dank and Breezy on that tank line. Breezy's name will be I'm Not Breezy, of course, to make things nice and confusing. Proxy and New are meant to be their DPS, but we've got New and Pilot. You'll see Pilot coming up on in the match there. And then Jason and Merit are their support lineup. Merit will be there, except my name will be, I guess, Jason's name. We're not sure if that's a old account or what's going on, but just be aware of that. The name difference is slightly there.
Yep, so a bit of deviation, but still good players nonetheless. I think the big highlights for me is New. They were in the Mutnik tournament as well. They are absolutely filthy. They were up there, if I remember correctly, they were up there for my MVP of the entire tournament. Them and Jake were just absolutely filthy. I was a big fan of those two on the DPS. I'm pretty sure New was on like the Tracer Ash kind of role, and given the compositions we saw in our previous series, that could very much carry over here, particularly on Lijiang Tower, where we will open up. Breezy, I've seen some good Diva performances out of them all the way around as well. So it should be a fun time. And Dank also, I'm pretty sure they're looking for Team Overwatch League. So that's very much the caliber of player that Dank is. They had some time over in some academy teams, and they are going to bring a lot of experience and an absolute rocker of a main tank to this roster.
Yeah, these are all strong players up there in that Masters ranks area. So these guys will be putting on a show for sure. They've got the skill backing behind them. It's going to come down to teamwork, and obviously B0RB say that they've only just formed their team recently. Not sure if that's truthful information or not. Whereas Goodnight have been together for about a month now. So it'll be interesting to see if that makes a difference between the two teams and their and how they play together.
I think either way, a lot of these like newly created teams are being created for this tournament in particular. I'm pretty sure the whole open division cycle is kind of gone, so this is the big OCE tournament that they have the chance to play in at the moment that has a prize pool. So lots of teams are being made specifically for Ascent Season 5. But either way, it should be good. These players are all so good that even with a short time being together, they'll be on top of things so quickly. Starting in Lijiang Tower, we're going to head there in a second. Quick speculation of compositions. I think we will see more Reinhardt. I think we will see more Lucio, but I think we will, when we go over to particularly Night Market, I think we will not play Lucio on Night Market. That is my prediction.
Yeah, that's a deep dive prediction right there. How you really
And the thing is, I can actually make a really good argument to why I'm an idiot as well, because they'll Lucio to the point to use the sim telly up to the window. I'm a moron. So yeah, please discard my prediction. I was trying to do a cool segment, but I'm a goose.
Yeah, is this why you're a Masters level player, is it?
Yeah, you bet. Don't check my career profile though, please. I got accused of D-ranking based on my career profile the other day.
Just playing normally?
Yeah! I wasn't throwing, I just suck. It was...
Oh, that's a hit to the ego, that right there.
It really hurt. I didn't play the game for the rest of the night. I logged off after that. I didn't enjoy it. And it was on tank, so I didn't play tank for the next like a week.
Oh, yeah. Well, these guys, on the other hand, are looking to be bringing the show to us. Of course, you probably will see matches in the future few weeks. Of course, every Friday this stream will be happening. More likely, we'll be covering a couple of the other divisions as well, so we won't be just showing the top division every week as well. So everyone in the competition is going to get their chance to have a good showing, which I really like about that. You know, it's fosters a good kind of competition.
Yeah, it's good to set the scene for the level of this tournament as well, because there are some incredible teams all the way around. But yeah, there's like 6 divisions, I'm pretty sure, so we will go all the way around, check out what's going on, the tiers of Overwatch. There's also, of course, AAOL still going, which will be streamed here. That's presented by AOE, of course. But that is also still going on Saturdays. I think that's the week after this week, though. I don't think it's on tomorrow.
Weeks. Yeah, there's a couple of weeks before AOL will kick off. So be a couple of weeks of this only.
Yeah, so give us a bit of time to get nice and used to all of these players, all the teams, and very similar tournament format, to be fair. Only big difference is there's like a playoffs finals like section of weeks that AOL doesn't have because they just play the group stage. That should be really exciting. That decides who get the big monies as well. And surely not. Look, oh no, accept my name. I thought that maybe we're gonna get no Lucio, and I'd actually be right. But this is actually really exciting right off the bat from B0RB. If they do rock the pharmacy, we didn't see any of that in our previous series. We saw a little bit of Echo Mercy, I'm pretty sure, from Drago and Turbo.
Yeah.
But I didn't think we saw any Pharah. So that Pharah shooting into where everybody spawns out of that Symmetra teleport is going to be a whole lot of damage that Breezy will have to eat up. And the teleport is just so much quicker, not even thinking about it for B0RB as they swap over to the Tracer.
Yeah, Goodnight quick to that point. I like that kind of aggression. We can see how already that's helping them a lot. Addicts sneaks off the kill though, which is great. Fortunately, Fed not having so much luck there. The McCree pick off will clean them out that battle. You've got to be careful with hit scans of this caliber. Yeah,
there's no margin for error. You have to, when making a decision, you have to think that the hit scan, will be hitting those shots. And that was a really nice opener. The point presence was there with the new teleport. And then now that it's in a really good spot is Goodnight to just hold at this choke.
Interesting that they back right up. They're willing to give a little bit of room here to keep control. They can roll around and then telly back up again to disrupt on the push. B0RB really trying to find that opening, but struggling on this front line.
Yeah, and the anti onto the main tank means that they just have to slow down a little bit. But the nano boost online for Sector, who do they give it to? They give it to who do they give it to?
Oh, Pharah.
Wow.
Hold that on the objective. Looks for a boot. Addict's doing all the work though in the end. Takes out the Lucio as well. Pinned across the leg from Dank. Hits the Pharah of all characters. That's one way to take a Pharah out of the sky, I guess. Now they're just going to clean up. Go for the convert here. B0RB finally getting some points on the board.
You don't see the Pharah getting charged all the time. You'd think it's like that April's Fool's patch where the Ryan could charge upwards. Or was that the Doomfist that could punch upwards? I'm not sure. But either way, a few shenanigans going on there. The nano boost onto the Pharah ended up getting the job done. Then Addict is down early.
Yeah, good high noon to delete. A simple character like Addict has just been punishing that back line. Pharah with the ult gets absorbed. Pilot deals to it. I don't know if that Pharah's really what they need on this team here.
Yeah, the Diva and the Cowboy are doing such a brilliant job of shutting down any advances by Fed. And it's also leaving Sector really vulnerable as they only have the Sleep Dart really to peel for them, as Wrecking Ball isn't your ideal peeling tank. I guess the Diva of Benji can do a pretty good job. Benji, excuse me, as they are on B0RB. Benji.
Well, they have the old advantage here, Goodnight. They are looking strong, even with the minefield onto the objective. B0RB having a rough one. Interesting Diva bomb. It slips over the edge. I don't know if they didn't want that to happen, but it did go that way. Addict with some good damage. Wow. Accept my name just boops Fed out of the sky. That Pharah really having a hard time. Oh, solo ult from Dak to take out that backline support. Even though Benji's on that point with spades, they haven't got the supports now that they probably need to stay in it. Pilot coming back with a bit of damage as well. Stun goes out well. High noon. Ends up getting blocked out. Fed with a good shot. Diva bomb on the point. It is blocked out by Dank as well. And now that overtime trickles away so close. Goodnight really just want to take this out right here, right now. But Spades making it hard for them. Lucio to come on, but gets a little too close to that hammer. The boop away, almost stopping them. They nearly get the connect with the Ana. This overtime really is being played out, but they might have just snuck it out there.
Yeah, except my name, just making sure that the B0RB34N cannot touch. They also got a fair few kills in that fight, so the Lucio is kind of fragging out. Definitely do keep your eyes on Accept Your Name on the bippity boppity boot boy there. And so now we're done on Night Market. We're heading over to Control Center, Stranger. And this is on the first fight of our previous series, which was on this map. The Junkrat was played by, I want to say it was Benny. I'm not too sure though. And they played the Junkrat and they just absolutely rolled with it. There's so much damage at these tight corridors. Was really, really impactful. And it looks like Fed is going to be going down that kind of route as well. New is opting for the Doomfist instead, so hoping to try and get around them, but the Junkrat damage is going to be huge.
It's a quick meet in the middle. New with some great damage to take Addict out. Puts their team in a strong advantage state, and they continue that damage on, even though Spades does manage to finally get the kill on them. What a shatter time! That was huge, but unfortunately the shatter doesn't have the effect they want. Impressive speed to get that though.
Yeah, you get it quickly, but it didn't actually do much though. A bit of BM in chat going on about that one as well. And really nice use of the teleporter. Just make sure you finish off that cap and then immediately go to put pressure back on the choke. And New getting a lot of value out of that Doomfist allowed Dank to push so much further forward, and that was the fight winner there for Goodnight.
Goodnight now in a bit of a rough position. They have rotated around, but New's there in that backline destroying that Junkrat, so there's no damage problem. Spades has a bad time. The shatter comes down, almost not necessary as the team's just dominating right now.
Yeah, that was kind of clean. Dank showing Spades how to get value out of that Reinhardt ultimate ability there. And yeah, kind of little, I don't want to say MTD just yet, it's a bit far, but the Doomfist is just constantly getting these first picks. B0RB cannot be letting this happen if they want to win.
Yeah, that Doomfist value is high. They might finally be able to get here to the point, B0RB. They really want to make use of the space. Up comes the defensive ult for Goodnight. They use that and stay nice and deep. This gives them a chance to get some space. Telly from B0RB to get into the other end. They get a shield up themselves. The grab comes down. Doom drops straight on the head of it as well. The damage output there is immaculate. Fed does manage to get rid of that threat, but at the cost of the rest of the team already gone, it's not worth a lot.
Yeah, Goodnight haven't missed a step. They've been all over it so far. Just fighting on the point and then going right back to the choke. And New, if they keep on getting picks like this, it's going to be awesome. The sound barrier comes out maybe a little bit earlier than they'd like though.
Yeah, they are taking this fight right up into their faces though. They know at 80%, they really just have to commit heavy here. They want to try and slow them down at any potential they can. Just Squishy's now pushing back to the objective. B0RB, how do you, I don't know. I'm always going to get it wrong because of Benji. It's really going to mess with me. They managed to get themselves to this objective but not get the convert. Dank drops the hammer. Does actually connect, unfortunately not with the target right in front of them, and that is a great bit of damage. And they finally make their way onto the objective and get themselves some score going.
Yep, they took them a while, but they eventually got it. And it looked like the catalyst for that one was them actually getting the first pick for once. It was Fed going over the Doomfist and getting value out of that. Addict has also swapped over to the Cowboy in effort to just flashbang the Doomfist whenever they go to engage, which I think is a good decision to start off.
Window placed well for Goodnight. B0RB not so effective, hiding in the high ground, not really getting a lot, but it doesn't matter. Benji doing a lot of damage. Good stuff. They finally do fall though, as the rotate here from Goodnight puts them in a good position. They get the Cowboy in a bit of a rough spot, but he manages to just walk away from it in the end. Interesting pen attempt. And Addict's just walking in circles. It worked for a while there. Finally gets caught out for it as they try and push Spades away from this objective. They do get the convert, and now we're in overtime territory. Big commits required, but the grab shuts off the opening. And what a performance from Goodnight to take this first map.
Very little hesitation in that one. It took control super well. Dank was putting on a little bit of a show compared to Spades already. So that is something that B0RB will have to pick up if they want to have more success in this series. Here's the shadow from them before, kind of large once the Immortality field is taken down as well. And we expect nothing less from a player of Dank's caliber as well. They are proper good, and they are absolutely showing it. There's an Overwatch League ready in the chat as well, which is... I hope so. We wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of OCE representation in the league. We would absolutely love to see it. Just before we get ahead of ourselves though, Stranger, I do want to remind you that What the Flop won Control and then proceeded to lose the next 3 maps. So I wouldn't rule B0RB out of this series just yet. The Great American Comeback starts right about now. And it looks like we might have a substitute coming in actually, as Bork is gone from the lobby. We'll have to see who replaces them. The other big question is, what map are we going to head to? Last time we went to Hollywood, but we also have the options of Kings Row and what else do we have?
Blizzard World as well.
Blizzard World, all right.
B0RB
yeah.
pick. I mean, they're gonna take what, Kings Row maybe?
I don't know. Given how Spades didn't fare too well in the Rhyme 1v1, I don't think they'd want to go to Kings Row, because I think they'll lose that Rhyme. But on the other side of the coin there, Dank is known for their Winston play. They're bragging about it themselves in chat, which I hope is a joke because it's really funny. But yeah, their Winston is absolutely amazing. It's what really put them on the map in the international scene, honestly. So if they go to something like if they go over to Blizzard World or anything of the sorts there, they might, or Hollywood, the Winston is very prevalent there, and I think I'm trying to say this without saying main tank difference. The varying levels of tank play. No discredit Spades. They are awesome. No. But Dank just being maybe that step above pretty much everybody else in this tournament at the very top of Division 1. Is this going to be such a crucial tool that Goodnight will utilize to get them these series wins?
Yeah, it spreads that load off of Spades, that it kind of falls more back onto the rest of the team, where they need to be, you know, that supporting pillar to help against that strength point for Goodnight.
Yeah, it is a team video game. There's 6, soon to be 5 players in the Overwatch video game. So they do actually have to help each other out, which is surprising. But these people do actually comms. They all have microphones and join team chat and talk to each other and do the gaming, which is cool. Our substitute has gone in. It is Luke.
Leukemia?
Leukemia? You are so smart. You should be like an Overwatch caster or something, dude.
Should think about that.
Yeah. You'd be great. There's this tournament called ASCENT. It's produced by Koalas Esports, presented by AOEsports. There's like a Patreon for it. It's so cool. You should definitely get involved. Discord server even.
Luke's a flex DPS, and apparently quite a good one. So they've moved into the support role just there. So this will be interesting. I guess that they're going to be playing out some shenanigans here, I guess.
Yeah, I'm unsure of what is going on there. We are heading to Hollywood, so that is the second time we have headed off to Hollywood so far. It's definitely something that I want to keep track of throughout this tournament. What are the map picks, especially at these top levels? Where is everybody going to? Because it looks like Hollywood is the place to be so far. Not sure about IRL though. LA is kind of a mess. But I might get to see my favorite YouTuber, so that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, you've got to tell us who now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have a favorite YouTuber, man. I just watch Summoning Salt with his like world record progression thing.
Oh, I called out. Just called you out so hard.
Kind of. It's all right.
Well, if B0RB pick Hollywood, I mean, Goodnight will get to pick if they attack or defend first. I think, given their performance just before, they might be quite aggressive in their style. So we'll probably get them. I assume they'll want to attack more likely. And it's exactly like you say.
Well,
yeah, like Spades is getting away from that Reinhardt if possible.
Yeah, and that'll be forced upon them on point B, as I was kind of saying going into our previous game on Hollywood. Very similar circumstances all the way around between these two series so far. Hopefully the theme kind of continues and B0RB kind of step it up in the second map after really struggling on map 1.
Yeah, I think, like you say, you know, very different game modes. Team can play completely differently. We just saw it happen. So I'm not willing to write them off just yet, but they are going to have to show us a good performance here to bring back that confidence.
Yeah. So the confirmed sub is Leukemia on flex, on the support, I should say. If you say they're a flex DPS player, that is a little, very much putting the flex in that one. So yeah, it looks like they're going over to the Zenyatta. So very much a bloodthirsty support.
Flex DPS.
Yeah. Maybe they just want like the good aimer with projectiles to go in and just frag out. Maybe that's their goal. But again, I don't think it'll be any different here. The bunker will go up probably onto the high ground. It looks like they want to set up in Cafe though, which is a little bit of a deviation from what we were previously seeing. I like holding on Cafe quite a bit. I think that if you get Dove, it gives you the option to drop down onto that mini health pack just below the point. It also gives you a bit of a nicer place to back off into that Cafe area again when you're contesting, compared to the tight little staircase, where I think you'll just kind of get bottlenecked and destroyed. But as I said that, they do go to that main high ground, get a bit of vision down the choke. It will be the Orisa right off the bat they're holding down though. So the Orisa won't really be getting much value until somebody actually tries to contest the point. And I'm not sure who that's even going to be.
And Dank jumping up high, they give up that high ground instantly. The fear in their eyes in that moment. You can see Dank knows the power that they have with that. Looking to push up, coordinated jump. They want to split that Zen from the rest of the team if possible. Get rid of those squishies early. Back to the Cafe we were talking about, but now the point control in Goodnight's hand. They're trying to keep that aggression going. Good immortality field to keep them going for just a bit longer, but Goodnight's got that damage output and they just clean them out one by one, keeping the push going as Ana takes this objective. Well executed push.
Yeah, that was Goodnight showing the patience of a roster with so many high caliber players on it. They didn't take an engage that wasn't favorable for them. They waited until they forced out the rotation and then they went all in and it paid off. Very quickly getting point A on the board. And on this point B, I think Dank up on the high ground with Merit very quickly coming up on that nano boost. And Dank is just sitting there trying to take some damage, farm some ultimate charge to get that nano boost online. But B0RB isn't taking the bait, having to go a little bit more aggressive to get that extra ultimate charge for the Ana there.
Yeah, you can see the difference here. Goodnight's DPS getting in there, doing that burst damage, getting out. No one's dying yet. They don't want to be doing any staggers. They're rotating and the damage. Dank's keeping the pressure on that front line as well. This is just great poke.
Yeah, it's so good. And is Dank getting absolutely shredded by the Discord, or they're managing to stay alive on a sliver of HP though.
Yeah, that ult really gave them the health to sustain. Look at the control there. That's the difference between those Winston pros where they get out with the health, still alive in that battle. Good big commit here. Out comes the window. Molten Core right there amongst the middle of the fight. Grab though, puts them in a tough spot. Great control here, and the cart will just let them walk over the lava.
They did have to use a lot of ultimates though. The tourbillon, what?
Through the car? I don't know. That was hilarious. They still get it though.
Nerf tourbillon, it's OP. It can go through cars. Now either way though, and especially with the Echo using the ultimate here just to get the staggers, there's so many ultimates for Goodnight gone. Dank will have to work really hard to get that primal rage up online, but it looks like they're doing just that. And with the stagger kills as well, it doesn't even matter. B0RB isn't getting even a chance to use their ultimates here. Like they're just getting muffled out completely. No chance to breathe whatsoever. Dank immediately going back up onto that high ground so they can engage that using their abilities, give them a better chance of escaping. But they won't want to escape at the moment, Stranger. They have the primal rage, they have the nano boost coming up very swiftly. They'll be able to go so aggressive, even with the Discord orb on them.
Spades commits the damage ult from Orisa. They do manage to sneak out Breezy before they make their way out. Nano onto the monkey to just harass that support line at the back, but Addict's done a lot of damage to do the same here. Goodnight now don't have that sustain they need. Does force out Tranquility. So
That's actually kind of massive.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because now I'm Not Breezy will have a completely free Graviton Surge once they take out that Immortality field. So that's actually a huge ultimate to bait out the hard defensive ultimate there from Dank.
And Dan managed to do that and stay alive with the Discord Orb on. That's great stuff. Good positioning from Fed up on this high ground, but with the Echo laser beaming you out from the salt part, you're going to have a bad time. The rest of the team a little split, so no one can help him out. Burst through onto Spades like they aren't even a tank player at all. This payload is walking on up and no one is getting near it to stop it. Benji's trying, but they have to do a lot on their own against quite a few characters. Has the ult, but down comes the shield right on top of the bomb. It's getting nothing of value. Grab onto the objective, so Spades can't even move around. Pulse bomb to the cart just in case, and they have it under their control.
339. That is pretty darn quick. This calls in chat for Dank to relax, but I don't think they're going on that kind of route. They are tearing up on the Winston.
They don't know how to.
Yeah, but that's all good. So now we'll have to see what they actually go for on the defense. I'd really like to see a dive defense, personally. I don't know if it's the best call, but it's kind of selfishly, I think it'd be cool to get the Winston on point and just try and play that dive defense, because we haven't seen much of it so far besides that brief thing we saw on Junkertown with the Wrecking Ball Sigma kind of way. But I don't know what we're going to see just yet. It looks like we are going to get that dive defense, though, with a little bit of a twist. So, we will have Dank on the Winston, but then we're also getting the Reaper. And I think that Reaper is anticipating a Winston of Spades. I think if they knew that it was going to be a Wrecking Ball, they'd sooner something like a Cowboy or... I was going to say even a Sombra maybe to hack the Wrecking Ball. But the Reaper will still absolutely shred the tank. And they're also going for a little bit of a cheese strat. So if nobody scouts this out, Goodnight will quite literally get the jump on B0RB here.
Oh man, if New just deletes a couple of people straight off the bat. Does get caught out by the Tracer, a hard target. So not quite going to have it. It has the kill, but... Oh, okay. It comes in to help out with the damage. Spades does manage to nail out New, but they manage to get the kills to just keep this aggression up. Maybe they're just over-committing a bit here, though. I don't know.
They've kind of been caught at the spawn doors, though, but it breaks a little bit of time off the clock. But with that kind of play, you want to at least be getting some ultimate charge out of it. But everybody was doing something, so it didn't really go heavily in anybody's favor. Like, Dank isn't really close to that Primal Rage or anything like that. So I wouldn't say that was successful at all. I think it was a bit of a cheese strat that just went a little bit moldy.
Yeah, I think they maybe thought it'd be a bit easier, but they've been served it up raw here, and this first point is going to be taken quite swiftly. So now, quite a good competitive advantage for the time.
In fairness, it started off really well for them, but they maybe just hung around a little bit after they were asked to leave. So just kind of got kicked out by the bouncer of B0RB there. But still, they aren't letting it dampen their spirits. They're still playing so aggressive. And with the Torbjorn turret of New, it is positioned all the way back. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was brought a little bit further forward just to put pressure on the spawn doors even. And indeed it is. Just in that little corridor where I can see right into the spawn.
Yeah, a good shot to take out the 1 DPS, but look, Goodnight still happy to keep it strong, keep it right here on the front line, drops the Diva Bomb, attempted hack there, not sure quite what the target intention was.
It's also the second time that Dank's Primal Rage has fought out the Transcendence of Leukemia, and they do actually get the pick out of once they come out of the ultimate though, and it looks like it is finally B0RB getting a little bit of spring in their step.
I don't know, I feel like Goodnight are getting a little loose and fun with it. They clearly think that this is an easier game than it actually is.
Yeah, they are clearly wearing their partying button-up shirt from Connor at the moment. They're having a blast, doing their thing. And the rally coming up for Accept My Name could be kind of large and keeping everybody alive. But in saying that, with Dank falling, the rally isn't really doing its job.
Jeez, that was a great pick on Dank as well. Even with the defensive play from Breezy there to try and block off as much damage as possible, they still broke through it nicely. Breezy loses Machia right on the cart, needs to get back in, but ends up getting donked out by Spades there. So now, still in the control of B0RB.
They're doing the thing, they're pushing the objective, and they have a few ultimates coming up as well. I think I'm really hoping for a better EMP from Fed this time around as that ultimate comes online. There aren't really any hard counters for it. There isn't even like the rally or anything. It will be down to accept my name to actually whip Shield Bash, them out of that ultimate, which is very, very ambitious. And I think that if they catch that EMP on the Ana while Dank is engaging it and prevent that nano boost from going off, it could actually be a huge play, but they go for the tanks.
Interesting Molten Core from New here, quite spread on the fight, but then the nano on Monkey again forcing out that tranquility, constantly doing that all game long here. Very split attack here from Goodnight. They're still doing pretty alright on that front line, not any kills going either way. Luke getting quite pressured here by Breezy, but is also forced to back out. Such a split battle. Oh, Dank jumping through the minefield ends their career swiftly. And it looks like B0RB are being pretty systematic about this. Positioning is good. They're staying together, focusing the right targets as well. Whereas I think Goodnight's getting a little loose.
Benji is as well though. They get the double kill to self-destruct. This might actually be the chance for them to turn this fight around. Pulse Bomb goes onto the floor, but it doesn't find much. But I think the self-destruct might have been a little bit ambitious to actually get any massive value out of.
Yeah, still this fight continues. Very good hold here from Goodnight. They've actually stopped the momentum well, and now they should be able to get a couple trickle kills of these loose, squishy players.
And yeah, the defense has finally been settled in. And we're getting the dive defense that I was talking about as well. That's really exciting, and Dank is just not hesitating to go aggressive. I am starting to wonder if maybe the roster of B0RB is suffering from lack of heals. Like, even though the Reaper can heal themselves and the Wrecking Ball is pretty self-serving, maybe they could do with something like a Baptiste, just give them a little bit more support.
We see more aggression from Dank right into their backline. That Discord Orb is pretty much sitting on Dank's head now the whole game long. They know how much of a threat that Monkey is. Good position dive here. Another Monkey Rage. I mean, it's like that Q is just like on a 2-second cooldown, man. Constantly pumping it out and harassing those supports. So again, another aggressive defensive hold here.
Yeah, it is one of the payoffs of being so aggressive all the time. If you're always aggressive, you're always doing damage, you're always building up that ultimate. And that cycle just kind of continues, and Dank is absolutely abusing that. They just stood in front of a Reaper like it was nothing. They are not scared. They have so much faith both in themselves and their supports to keep them alive. And with that nano boost coming back on, they're going to go aggressive right onto Leukemia again, force out that Transcendence once more. And then after that, the Zenyatta will be easy pickings.
They control this high ground well. Fed's trying to get in, but that shield positioning's really strong. Diva Bomb over, doesn't quite sneak over the ledge as they might have wanted. Got caught on that wall a little bit. So unfortunately not enough value there. Again with that nano on the Monkeys, straight to that backline. Tranquility used up when they don't want it. High and Noon to come out. It gets blocked out by Benji, who then gets put to sleep as Dank continues that rage on. Discord Orb or not, they don't care. The W key is all they have. Minefield onto the objective. Reaper ult as an attempt to try and do something to Dank. Does win the battle out for them. Strong stuff. The mine's really doing well to zone people off this card as well. Breezy gets taken out of the mech. A strong position here for B0RB. I keep messing it up. They actually do win out this fight in the overtime. They'll sneak it out.
Yeah, it took them so many attempts, but finally with the Discord Orb and the Reaper, they managed to take Dank down. And that proved to be a big reason that they won that fight, and it sets a really clear win condition for B0RB. I'm sure they've known the win condition the whole time, but it's kind of given them a bit of a faith that they actually can pull it off even against a player of Dank's caliber. And, oh no, B0RB's all split up. There's a free dive onto the payload 6v4.
That backline doing what they can. They quickly get back though. I like that. Pulse Bomb out. Unfortunately not connecting as Addict would have wanted. Diva Bomb into the backline gets mostly blocked out as well. Fed finds the shot to clean up. They're doing a lot on the DPS side of B0RB right now. Man, good luck.
Yeah, Addict and Fed. Yeah, they're just having a really good time until they get their head ripped off by New. But that happens every now and again. Playing Tracer into a Cowboy is a tough ask either way. Maybe Pilot is getting a little bit better end of the stick with that one, playing into a Reaper instead.
Good. The Trank here being used once again to try and counter out that Monkey ult. Fed with the ult on the point, gets eaten up, mostly nothing, and then the stun to end it all. Diva Bomb right at the back, but the bubble covers the whole thing. Not a problem whatsoever with 10 seconds on the clock. Looks like this might have just been the hold that Goodnight needed.
Yeah, their holds have been so good, and it's really taken a lot of time for B0RB to, on each point, excluding point A, but point B and C, it took them so long to figure out how they actually wanted to approach it. I can only hope and think about what that point A hold could have been. Being nice. If it was if they didn't go for the cheese strat at the start, if they played it a bit more standard, how that point A hold could have gone. But we can see Accept Me here just really brutalizing Goodnight. One of the highlights. Oh, not Goodnight. They're on Goodnight. Excuse me. Brutalizing B0RB. Just very quiet on the Brigida, but definitely not doing anything badly and definitely doing their job. So that is 2-0 to Goodnight. They're in a very good position to take this series in a high-speed fashion.
I mean, Dang's just pulling out everything here. Those nano jump-ins forcing out the Tranquilities is just burning a lot of that defensive capability of B0RB, who can't use it in other moments where it might be a little bit more crucial and actually can like make a save that'll win them the fight out. They're really getting pushed into certain options here, which is can be pretty tough as a support, when you just you can only really do one thing.
Yeah, it's so tricky because that flow-on effect is brutal as well, because if Dank is always on you, you have to focus on killing Dank, not healing Spades, which means they get less support, they get to do not as much as they would like. This is such a cycle that they need to break somehow. They need to put more pressure on Dank, whether that is going... I don't even know. They were running Zenyatta for a lot of it. I like the Zenyatta with the Discord Orb, but maybe even like a Baptiste to pair with that instead of a Brig, for maybe they have a bit more heals as well. And two big defensive abilities in the Transcendence and the Immortality field. Maybe that's a way that they can go about it. The other option is to get their supports to dive in as well. So get like a Moira Lucio and just hunk everybody up. So their Dank is jumping into 6 people instead of like 2. So that is a way that they could go about it. But on Junkertown, I don't think we will see much brawl. Maybe on point C you could pull off some Reinhardt stuff. But otherwise, I think it will be a lot of bunker again. And Dank will definitely be able to keep on playing the Winston.
Yeah, I think that they're quite happy to keep on going this. This would have been B0RB's pick as well for the map. So I'm actually surprised that they... what were the other options? Sorry, I need to refresh.
Gibraltar and Dorado.
That's right. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that this was a good pick for them?
I think Gibraltar would have been suicidal. Purely because Dank would have torn up on the Winston. And I'm not too sure. Dorado and...
yeah, I guess they're like kind of same. Not a bit...
Yeah, like you can play the Winston, but it isn't almost compulsory like it is on Gibraltar. I think the Junkertown, it gives them a lot of chance to bunker up, and if they all bunker up together, maybe it'll make it really hard to dive into.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. I mean, we talked about what can you even do about Dank. They even had Fed on their Reaper as an attempt to try and hold that a little bit. Maybe they just weren't playing tightly enough with the Zen to be able to kind of make good use of that. Or I mean, the additional protection coming on from Breezy, who's stopping Dank from taking a lot of that damage, also really helped on a lot of occasions. So yeah, but as we see already, they're just mixing up this playstyle for us.
Yeah, I don't know if this will stick. They are just in spawn at the moment, after all. Maybe they're getting a little bit disrespectful with it, though. The bunker comp is coming out Interestingly, so it is the Bap Zenyatta. I'm right. I actually got a prediction right for once. Let's go.
Oh.
They did actually swap the support players around though, so it is now Sector on the Zenyatta instead. Maybe that'll fare a little bit better for them. And if they all play together like this, when Dank jumps in, they'll also have to jump in behind the Orisa's shield, so they won't be able to get their heals. Oh, they will, because they're running Zenyatta. If they were running the Winston, but instead, they're running some weird stuff. The double sniper on Junkertown isn't uncommon, but the Hog Zarya, I'm not as certain about.
They got double shield to get through as well, which is going to make shots hard. Hounds is really going to have to burst through that shield. I like that Breezy's looking to find that angle. Almost gets that hook connection. Again, we see Dank playing aggressive on that front line. This cart is really moving, and there's not really a lot going on to stop them. Dank now caught in this lower room. Has to be careful. Good push in from B0RB to get in there. Fed, unfortunately, is lost for them. And now Pilot finds the angle to get in amongst the craziness. Breezy just pumps out the damage output, and they just win that fight by attrition once again.
Yeah, it was really nice positioning from New and Pilot to kind of set that one up, finishing off with a headshot on the Tracer as well. But the snipers and the Roadhog as well just kind of worked everybody from B0RB into that small room, and then once they were in there, it was just kind of doomed. Both the doorways were covered by snipers. The Roadhog could go in there and tear out the Brigida as well. Could just get so much done with the standard flail, and the point goes very speedily in favor of Goodnight, excuse me, but not before they suffer a few losses.
Yeah, interesting timing on the aggressive push here. Fed does hit some good shots, taking out 2, but this cart is just going to roll under them nice and slow. So B0RB have to drop down or something.
Yeah, when are they going to contest is a big question. Benji will probably be on task with that one. They'll also be able to engage with the Gravitic Flux, which Merit will counter with an ultimate of their own. But still, this fight could play out in a bunch of different ways, and it's just Goodnight taking their time. What a hook as well, that might isolate Benji.
Splits them off from the group, and that allows them to push on. Whole Hogs up at the high ground, just completely yeets them off that top point, and they can get this cart just a little bit further. It pushes B0RB right back to another point where they have to find high ground once again.
That was such a cool play from Goodnight, because they isolate Benji, and they're like, oh, okay, we can just get Benji. But then they see the bigger fish. They look for that juicier target of the rest of the team, and they capitalize on it.
They left the cart here to win the fight. I ended up getting dominated by the looks of it. And now Pilot's going to have to 1v1 a Sigma. Oh, no, it does get Merit to come join the battle. Get some support, but they don't really have the man advantage here, and I think that Pilot should go down with some well-placed shots. They reclaim it, and the trickle onto Zen buys a good bit of time for them.
Yeah, they left the Pilot for a little bit too long. I think that is a little bit of a misplay there from Goodnight, which is uncharacteristic of them, obviously. But it is Breezy with another one of these hooks. That time, not going for the bigger fish. Benji will do just fine, they say, and they do take that Sigma out of the equation very early.
Oh, they even got the bubble there on Breezy, but it wasn't enough. Pure damage output with the ult from Spades. Actually pumps on through. Addict does get caught in the back, but doesn't matter. Fed's still pumping that damage into the sky. Hitting a flying target with the arrows is no easy feat. Spades trying to continue that damage. Does manage to get rid of a support, and they are winning out this fight 1 kill at a time.
Yep, they're doing the thing. They're doing a good job. They're finally finding their footing in this series, which is really cool to see from B0RB in there. But they still have to be so careful of Breezy, who's maybe going a little bit aggressive for that hook, but they aren't really getting shut down. Even with the Discord Orb on them, they just don't have that like damage onto the Roadhog. Maybe the Reaper will have to come out again to get that one done.
Sorry, I had a minor glitch on mine, but we're good now. Addict gonna get out the kill on New there, so they are still getting the kills they need to stop this. Pilot's trying to sneak into that back to find it, but B0RB, they're doing well to just stay alive for a good amount of time. As I say that, of course, they all decide to die on the spot. Spades getting now pushed around. That low ground whole hog that was just the most random angle. Doesn't matter, runs right up into the face of the Sigma to just pump that damage out. Addict does a good dodge into more damage, so it doesn't end up going well for them, and they will push this payload onto point number 2.
I'm pretty sure Pilot caught the Zenyatta of Sector in rotation there, which is a really heads-up play by the Tracer to actually pick off that Zenyatta, and then from there the fight went off. It's the one moment where the Zenyatta isn't accompanied by that pesky Brigida, or the Baptiste in this case, excuse me. So Sector just fell pretty simply, easy kill for Pilot, and New getting exceptionally large for their boots there, taking on a 1v4 on the Echo.
Oh, the slam down, plus some damage from Merit to kill out Fed, so good bit of teamwork there on that kill. Also a massive kill into the support. Man, Breezy's just pumping it out with that hog, doing a lot of work.
Yeah, they're getting a lot done on the Wrecking Ball. It's just really displacing the tanks and making it really hard to like set up a spot and actually like set up this defense where they want to be with the support behind them and everything, because they're just constantly getting booped around by the Wrecking Ball.
Surely B0RB have the ult advantage here. They hold this card out if they make it back in time.
To be fair, it's like 6 versus 4, so there's still a lot going on.
Dragons across onto the cart. Lots of ults being thrown out at the same time. The Wrecking Ball looking to find that sneaky point. Great use of the ult from Breezy to try and displace. Second Gravitic Flux comes on down, taking out 2 supports. They've got rid of the sustain. They can clean up the final kills on. Systematic destruction there, and they find this objective.
Yep, 141 on the time bank for Goodnight. They had a bit of a tough time on point B, I should say, but once they cracked that one, they didn't really mess around in point C. So they have a respectable time bank on the clock. And now we're going to turn over to their defense. And I am wondering if they're going to play a dive defense, because they did it on Hollywood. It went well. Why not here as well? I think that the dive defense could be really good because Bed was playing the Hanzo the whole time. I don't think that will change because this is with the long sightlines. This is a really good map for Hanzo. So maybe that's some dive targets that you could kind of pressure. Addict as well on the Widowmaker. Even the Zenyatta and the Ana. They're some pretty good dive targets. As I said, that they do swap to the Baptiste. But instead, they're still going to stick to this double off-tank setup that they started off their offense on. Decide on heroes, dude. They're going for the Ryan. So, are they going to hold the spawn doors here? If they're running a Torbjorn, I don't think so. I think if they were running a Mei, they absolutely would want to go really far forward. But yeah, it's going to be the Reinhardt. I think they're going to have to wait for their supports to get in as well. Also, quick note on their supports. Zenyatta, Lucio, Dank will have to, especially with the Discord online for Leukemia, they'll have to be really cautious of when they go aggressive and when they engage, because they have such low heals. And also, I think it's really funny that B0RB just spent a good 3 seconds there looking around, trying to figure out where Goodnight were hiding before they touched the payload.
They weren't very comfortable just walking out the door straight away off the bat. Except gets a nice pick out to start it off, trying to just get rid of their healing off the bat. We see how spread out they are already. The split fight is great. New with a good shot and fed before they can do too much damage out onto their tank line. Interesting pin from Dank. Not quite working out as they might have wanted. Spade's going to walk the card on.
Yeah, and unlucky in chat from Dank as well. Also, how remarkably similar is that to the kind of shenanigans that they pulled on Hollywood? Like, the fight started off well, but then they stayed in a little bit too long, and it just went downhill from there. It's so similar. It's a real flaw in this team that if they come up against the more quality opponents who capitalize on it a little bit better than B0RB now, could be a real thorn in their side, quite frankly. Yeah,
they're memeing a little too hard, I think. You know, that they need to be concentrating down and taking it real serious. They could end this out like pretty quickly if they do that, I think. Good turret placement. Splits them off the cart well. Pilot on the high ground has the advantage there and does win out the sniper duel. From that, Fed doing some damage. The Pilot continues that onslaught. Tranquility used up. just to keep the fight in their hands. And they'll continue on. Pilot monstering it.
Yeah, was that 4 kills in that fight from Pilot? What a big dog. They're hungry and we know what they're going to eat. And going so aggressive looking for the kills. But yeah, so that's if Pilot can find those high ground angles again, it will be up to Addict and Fed to kind of close them up and make sure that they can't get as much value as they just did. Because if they keep on letting that happen, Pilot will just start to dominate. Junkertown is such a good map for Widow, particularly this first point. So they really have to make an effort to shut down the snipers.
Dragons through that underground room pulls out the tranquility for B0RB, so the fight just pretty much put to a halt for a second here. Split push here, except does overextend just a little bit and it ends up getting them caught, but Pilot pumps out the damage, finding the 2 there, gets themselves in a good position as well to continue the aggression. Spades hits a great hook, but it doesn't matter when the rest of the team is to follow up. Pilot overconfident there for a moment. A Sector going full DPS mode. Finds their 3rd, I think, there.
Yeah, and it actually gives B0RB a really good opportunity to take this fight like a 6v4, 6v5. This is the best chance they've had on point A so far.
Oof. New does a good bit of damage in the face of a Hanzo pumping arrows in. They really got to make sure they're keeping this cart moving. Right now is the space they've gained and then they lose it so quickly. Hog with the push off the map. D.Va Bomb used but doesn't have the value that they could have wanted out of it, so they're going to miss that one, I think.
Yeah, solid hold there from Goodnight. They started off a bit slow, but Pilot was just doing a lot of work, absorbing a lot of attention as well. Being relatively unchallenged from up on their high ground positions where they have been. They've only really died when they've gone within melee range of Sector. So pretty good display from Pilot so far. Definitely keep your eyes out on them on the Widow. Final fight territory for B0RB. They don't have much to work with. This is looking really tough.
This could be it for them.
Yeah, it absolutely could be.
Oh my goodness. With only 10 seconds remaining, they push on heavy. Got a couple of kills, so the fight can still be in their favor. The tranquility is forced out. Spades kind of has to make their way to that objective just in case. But in the face of a Torbjorn, pretty annoying damage output. They go for the spin. Rest of the team has to try and make their way. They could sneak the kill out here on Pilot. Benji's really trying hard to make that happen. Good dragon placement, gets rid of a support. They're still in this, I think. They've got the output to make it happen. Sectors come in to show that damage output too. And they've cleaned them up to make sure that they're still in this for now.
Also, I don't know if stream caught that, but Dank called GG's in chat and then proceeded to lose the fight. So maybe a bit of a comeuppance for the big dog there. The point B is finally on the roads for B0RB. And they have made a little bit of a switch up. Is Dank going over to the Sigma, but Pilot hasn't changed up anything. They're still ripping their heads off of B0RB.
Pilot's consistency with that rifle is scary. They cannot afford to let them have that the whole time. Good placement for the D.Va Bomb. Does pick up the 1 support. Barrier doing a lot of work there though to block out all of that. Dank's positioning fantastic. So this fight kind of slowing down in pace. Spades getting rid of the Doom Fist. As this cart continues to move, they're still getting space out of this.
Yeah, also quickly on that self-destruct, that was nearly a 4-person bomb. Or maybe even a 3. From Spades and Benji. They comboed up. The pile driver was really well timed from Spades. It was milliseconds in it from catching the Brigader up in the sky as well.
Great damage here to try and slow down the pace. A minute 20 on that timer. Sector managed to save themselves there and Doom actually eats the dust for it. Unfortunate. New's going to be out of that fight for just a bit longer. There's only a minute left to hit this cart, but it's moving along nicely. It's close to that end, and they have the man advantage right now. Mine's in the top side, so they can't have too much aerial advantage. Trace is going to be dashing around to stall this as much as can. 2 tanks back for Goodnight now onto this objective, so they really have to get rid of them quick if they want to make it happen. In fact, this cart is going to continue to go. Dank being the only one to really stop it there. Breezy now has to commit to that as well, but the damage output is massive, and they will find point number 2 as well.
Yeah, much quicker than they found point B, A, excuse me, as well. So looking really good on Junkertown for B0RB in this offense. They can certainly pull something out of the bag here. Going into this next fight, they have a few ultimates to work with. They have the Transcendence, which they'll have to save for the Gravitic Flux of Dank. They also have the Self-Destruct. Maybe they can land another combo like they attempted to up on that high ground. If that combo lands nicely, that's like 3-4 people right there, easy pickings.
Great from Matic. Diva Bomb right into the back. Tranquility, not a problem. No damage found. It's a bit unfortunate, but it's alright. Breezy and them making their way back onto this car. 1:30, so still not a lot of time to mess around with. They do get rid of Dank out of that battle again, which is a strong tank to remove from the fight. Addict punching out damage. A Pilot returning the favor. Good shots from them to take it out. Holt up to that higher ground. Is an attempt to try to take out the supports, but doesn't quite work out for them. They've stalled this cart for a moment longer. New. Gonna have to hit some fat shots here to make it work, but Fed's just pumping it out.
Yeah, the DPS of B0RB have really turned it up on this latter half of Junkertown. New goes to the high noon, but maybe a little bit big for their boots there.
Damn, I think that GG was called way too soon. It's given B0RB the confidence they need to just pump on through and say, you know what? No, it's not yet.
Or just the motivation to make Dank seem like a little bit of a silly goose as well. Equally as motivating. Speaking of Dank, they are coming back on the Roadhog, so B0RB will have to be careful of getting picked off by the hooks. Spades!
Oh, lovely use of the old mines from Spade there. Addict hits a good shot to take out New as well. Widow on Widow, the pulse bomb onto the point. Unfortunately not sticking for them though, so Pilot bites the dust there without any damage output. There's not a lot of people here to stop this card. The rally will have to come out in an attempt to pause this point. Only a meter away. Diva Bomb on the objective itself. Blast some damage out. Still, the damage output's not needed from the ults. They are just killing them on their own. Objective right here. The last few stragglers are removed and they do hit it.
The earliest GG call of all time. Somebody has to screenshot that thing and make it the top 10 images taken before disaster.
Yeah.
Somebody has to make that meme and put it on Twitter. Tag me in it, please. I really want to see it. Some good content right there. But I think the big reason that that B0RB turned that around is that Spades was just really doing an awesome job on that Wrecking Ball, especially in that last fight there. They got 2 kills with the ultimate to open everything up. But even on point B as well, they were doing a tremendous job.
Damn, the whole team really picked it up there. Completely different from that first point moments where we saw them getting separated in that. They were just together, very strong. Did a great job.
Yeah, really, really good. So on this defense, we're getting a awfully weird mashup of compositions here. I was going left to right across the hero lineup for Goodnight, and I saw the Winston. I'm like, oh, awesome dive defense. And then I saw the Ryan. I'm like, oh, awesome brawl defense. And then I saw the Bastion, and I was like, okay, bunker defense. And I'm really trying to put the pieces in my head together. I think it's just a lot of people that do a lot of damage, and maybe on paper they don't have a whole lot of synergy together, but I think it could actually be really impactful just setting out the Bastion and letting Dank do so much damage at the spawn doors.
Man, Dank is so balls to the wall. It's crazy. They teleport up on top of the spawn point. This is just insanity, and of course it's going to work, because why won't it? Yeah, they actually find the kill on Spades as well. So the cart's going nowhere. We're already down to the 40-second mark. They are losing the kills here.
Yeah, they actually are. And the thing is, when you're up there, who's actually contesting the point? It looks like it's Breezy. And this defensive cheese strat is working way too well. The first defensive cheese strat that has actually worked for Goodnight so far.
Yeah, they've burnt already. 40 seconds. It's out. It's gone. Telly for the Bastion. It can't do it any longer. Unfortunately, we get a DC right there at the 14-second mark. So an instant pause. But damn, I think Goodnight might have just cheesed their way to victory here.
Yeah, at the moment, it's like 3.21 meters on the board. And I don't think it's going to go any further than that, quite frankly. It's only moving backwards as well. News up on top of the point is tearing up. So it's just calls made for the map restart. That's really funny. That'd be kind of meta, though. Like, imagine that you baited the restart out of that. That'd be huge plays.
Oh, removed for inactivity, because they were still in the spawn point the whole time. Even if you're moving and you stay in the spawn point for too long, you can it counts as being inactive. So that's
That's actually so brutal. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. It's in overtime. Someone has to stay on the point, but they're walking into the line of sight of the entirety of Goodnight.
they're just sitting shield to spawn door. I mean, how do you just walk through that? They're pretty much body blocking you out of it. Dank continues to get the damage output they need. They slowly ruin them off that objective one by one. B0RB has to do what no one else could, but without the health bar, it's not going to happen. We get a pause again.
Oh my goodness. How does, in the span of literally 13 seconds, we just couldn't get it in? It just isn't going well.
Yeah, no, they lost a player now. This overtime's trickling. They sneak them off their point here. It's not going to happen. Jeez, what was that? 3.2 meters. Ouch.
It's kind of brutal. It isn't over yet. So I'm pretty sure, oh, it's not looking good though, actually. The defense is going to have to hold for hold to 3 meters for about 2.4 minutes. So if they get a meter a minute, oh no, they won't be fine. Actually, I'm really dumb. But it's just not looking really lovely at all. There, the defense will have to pull off something so cheesy as well. Equal level of cheesiness. I sure hope none of the viewers are lactose intolerant, because you must be having a rough time at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, we need to get a pause in here. We're missing a player. I think that the host doesn't realize.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll take a little bit of time and we'll sort that out eventually.
I'm trying to let him know that production somehow ended up in charge. We've mishandled it.
Oh, they have a rando in the game? Is this who it's meant to be?
Is Raindrop meant to be subbing in for?
There's lots of R's being chucked around.
I guess they're ready. I guess Raindrop is coming in to replace Spades. Spades had to go have a shower and brush their teeth. You know, it was good night for them. So Raindrop.
Nice, good night pun. Awesome. This might be the shortest stint of a sub ever in Ascent. They aren't even touching the card. If somebody just walks on, it's done. The music starts so quickly.
Jeez, this is just brutal to watch. I mean, Dank is literally standing still on the point because they're just feeling so comfortable there. They've barely got to move it. They know that the enemy team can't afford to let it go for even a second. Got the Pharah to play that high ground. Sector does end up going down. They lose Mirror as well, so Dank still just wanting to play this point. Has good control. New's doing so much damage from the sky. And without being able to leave the cart, you can't do much and go and harass them. They're just standing still now as well. This is just brutal to watch. The spawns slowly trickling out of their favor, and they will take the map.
There was a hammer kill in there as well, so everything was
we got the whole lot.
Yeah, GG ring dropped down, but that's really funny. Yeah, I'm enjoying that
random thing.
Yeah, that was a weird conclusion to the map, but still, it was 3-0 to Goodnight. Besides all the tomfoolery, it was so decisive. There weren't many points at all where B0RB looked on top of it.
Yeah,
really.
They had a good performance on some of the defenses along there where they played super well. But in the end, like even when they got the point, they didn't have the time advantage, and so it was like a little too late for that whole kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, it happens, I guess. But it puts them in a really good spot at the top of Div 1 already with a clean map differential. I don't think we have the graphic for it, but I'm just looking through the bingo card that was put up on the AOE Twitter. And I'm trying to see how many we got done. Reinhardt charges off the map. We got that. We had ult cancelled. Player drops out of the game with ult. We'll have to check if Apollo did that.
I think, yeah, he was pretty close, if not pretty close.
There weren't any draws. Stream
draw.
crash. We did have a stream crash.
But yeah, yep.
4-person shadow. We had a 4-person shadow. We had a 5
Yes.
even. Double shield we had.
Mm-hmm.
Torbjorn hammer kill. We had that. I don't think we had any Charlie Niners. There were many game pauses.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have any map files. We had Bastion. I'm not sure if any ults were blocked by teammates' ice walls though. That's we might have to go check the tape on that one.
Yeah, we'll have to hit the replays to figure that one out.
Yeah, put on the glasses, the thinking cap even. Really take it seriously because these bingo cards, there's so much on the line.
Anyway, that was Division 1. That's the top of the top, even with all the memes. Those guys are actually good, don't you worry. In the end, Goodnight doing a pretty bloody good job of the whole thing.
Yeah, I can confirm. Yeah, there it is, 2-0.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, graphics blurs. But yeah, Goodnight, solid performance. They looked strong the whole time, even when they did manage to lose the final objective. Their time advantage was so good. So well played to them. I think Dank put a lot of weight on the shoulders there, and it definitely showed.
Yeah, it's always going to be really tough to come back from that kind of thing. But we did have 2 series tonight, Div 2, Div 1. They are both in the books. Week 1 streamed of ASCENT is in the books. We didn't venture to too many unique places though. It was pretty similar map picks all the way around. It was always Lijiang, Hollywood, Junkertown, and then we did have our one stint on Hanamura, I guess. So I'm really interested to see how the rest of this tournament plays out.
Again, remember that this whole tournament and its prize pool was is because of our Patreon. So if you want to get involved with the AOE Patreon, make sure that you visit the links below, and you can make sure that we have these cool tournaments like this in the future. Because I mean, when people play for money, they definitely turn it up a little bit, which is what we want to see. You know, we want to see the top of the top. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a few thank yous to give as well. We do have to thank our patrons and that kind of thing, but we also do have our event producers. Everybody on screen here puts in so much work behind the scenes, particularly Pap, who is stuck in a bit of a managing role, has done an awesome job of making sure me and Stranger know what we have to do, making our life super duper easy. And the graphics and the tools that are being made by Gat as well to get everything off the ground is so phenomenal to work with. So big thank you to everybody involved with that.
All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps us up. Remember that next Friday... What?
I stop you.
Wait, oh,
sorry, that was so mean.
Go for it.
We have to have big thank you to our patrons as well. We have to thank them as well. So you mentioned it, they did make it all possible. I'm not sure if we have a list of them, but there are so many people that make the prize pool possible, make the event possible, let everybody put the time into it. So big thank you to everybody involved with that as well. I'm so sorry for cutting you off, Stranger. I'll let you close up the show now.
Rewind. Anyway, that was first week. Remember, Friday nights there'll be another stream, potentially different casters as well. We're mixing up the talent to keep it fresh, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're following Koala Esports here on Twitch, so you can catch the shows and get alerted when they do come on. Look forward to that. It's going to be a mix-up of different teams, different divisions next time. Should be pretty fun to watch, so hopefully we'll see you at that next one.